I didn't mean to do that, but I guess we're going in already.
I could also be a littlest pet shop.
Hello!
Top one.
Hello everybody, welcome in! Hello my nightlights, fright lights! Welcome to Sashiko Potions. I'm Robin Sashiko, the alchemist who's here to make your day a little bit more frightening. Hopefully everyone is doing good today. Hello, hello! There's too much music going on right now. I meant to like go into studio mode and go see if the group overlay was up, but I accidentally just kind of went there anyway. So I guess we're live now. Hi.
That's so
hi.
real.
Hello.
Hey.
We're live now.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to include you guys in like the title with @ or something.
I'm fine
Can
with
if you
that.
want. That works.
I have no idea.
I don't use my Twitch a whole lot.
I mean,
I
I'd
do
like
use
to.
Blue Sky.
Let me try something. I can just
Hopefully you'll do art stream soon, Indy.
I might.
maybe I'll change
I just need to get some other shit done first.
my collab. Playing with. I'll just do a command. Chico Shroob. What are your Twitch usernames? Chico Shroob and Min
Go _mom_Celeste.
underscore mom underscore Celeste. I got Draco.
Mineral underscore
Is it-
Viola.
Min
Isn't it just
Inimal.
Underscore Viola.
What is it?
Putting
Underscore and then MEWA.
Okay. M-E.
I just put mine in Shadow Government.
Chargo go.
Thank
Government.
you. There we go. Here, does that work? Ta-da!
yes.
I need to refresh the page to see it.
Excellent!
Oh, you didn't put it on the title. You put it in chat.
Hey, I'll just
Okay.
put it in
Yeah.
chat. I don't think we
That's,
can make it. I don't think we can make a title that long.
My name has 2 N's and 1 M.
No.
Minimal.
I'm not minimal Viola.
Mineral.
Mineral.
I love it when people just call you like Mula.
Honestly, the fact like people always fuck up my name and it's so funny.
Just like text in
I-
chat real quick so I can read it.
I also think it's extra funny that a lot of people call you Miwa, and now that's no longer accurate.
Yeah, I need to change it.
Minino.
Minino.
Because I
Hello,
get,
I am the littlest pet shop.
because the correct one is
Yeah,
Draco
that's so
Shroob,
cute.
but I get variants of like Draco, Shrob.
Shrub.
I don't get that one. Wait, actually, that one's your Nintendo one because it's missing one.
Yeah,
Shrub.
one has the umlaut, so it should technically be pronounced Shroob, but
And nobody does
Nintendo
that.
only having 10
Your name has an
characters.
umlaut?
Oh.
The one that makes a single O become a double O because
Moo.
Nintendo only gives you 10 characters.
Okay.
Got it.
Take a shrub.
But we're gonna be playing Deltarune Chapter 2 and I guess doing the weird route just for no particular reason. Have you guys done it before?
Yeah.
I've seen it. Have not done it.
Okay.
I have seen bits about it on Tumblr in form of comics. I have not seen gameplay.
Okay. I don't think much happens until like maybe a little later in the game. Like there's a certain I have a guide up here so I don't like miss it. Cause I think it's a little specific what you gotta do. So we'll see. I think it'll be fun. Guest voices are a little lower. Yeah, they do that.
Damn.
I'll just turn everybody up a little bit, I guess. Boop.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna redeem this. There you go.
Yeah, it's until you split up with until Noelle joins your team, I believe. Very specific. I thought there would be more weird route related to stuff, but apparently there's barely anything in chapter 1 and barely anything in chapter 3. It's mostly like I guess just with Noelle. And little bits of changed dialogue, but not a whole lot.
And Birdly.
Yeah, and Bergley. I'm not sure. But I thought we'd do it because I really like Deltarune, and I also lost a bunch of my Deltarune. I lost all my VODs recently, including the recent Deltarune I did.
No. No, that's terrible. What happened?
Ah.
I know. Everything sucks. I try not to think about it too much.
What
But
happened to them?
it's complicated.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess I wanted to change the email connected to that YouTube account.
Oh,
And
okay.
to,
Yeah.
to do
yeah,
that, you had
yeah,
to like make
yeah.
it a.
I see.
You had to like convert the channel into like a brand account, and to do that, you had to
Yeah.
like. I did it wrong. You're supposed to like delete the new one you made, and like merge it with that one, but instead I deleted the VOD channel,
Mhm.
No.
and I couldn't get it back. So I try not to think.
Also,
I try not to think about it. I'm just, I'm just gonna
That's
just keep
rough.
streaming. I'm not gonna look at the past. It's fine. I recently
Just
made
keep
a.
streaming.
Just keep streaming.
Streaming.
just keep streaming. Also, Robin, I redeemed something. You should...
Huh? What?
Huh?
Oh man. Give me a minute. Hi, Peachy Rose. How are you? Oh, yeah, a second.
Pichu.
Yeah, I did make a highlight video recently with a bunch of clips from the past couple of years, which kind of makes up for the lost VODs.
Mm.
But I'm doing good. I'm a good voice actress. My voice is unique and soft.
Yes.
Ugh.
Mine's annoying.
You know what?
Yours
Everybody,
is not annoying.
everybody has to do
know,
it.
it's
Everyone,
rad.
everyone, love yourself right now.
I have nice thighs.
Hell yeah!
I'm a good person.
I have a lot cuter of a voice than I thought I did initially.
What's that one?
Um.
Chris,
Minanel
having
Aurora,
trouble.
say
I'm having-
something nice about yourself.
I'm having trouble. Okay.
points gun at. Compliment yourself.
Wait.
You're
We love ourselves right now.
cute
Before
little
we
curvy
proceed,
mouse.
Oh God, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Complimenting myself is difficult. Okay.
Do it. Just say
Hmm.
something. Say something nice.
Fuck. I love my hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Fluffy,
hair is
fluffy
adorable.
hair.
Fact.
Mm.
I don't remember
I
starting this chapter 2 file. It's from chapter 1. If it'll erase the
Oh.
first
Uh-oh.
slot, or if I should start it
it won't.
blank in a different file without the
Hmm.
chapter 1 that I did already.
it won't erase the first slide. You're good. That'll
Oh,
stay there.
okay. Whew. Yeah, you're all adorable.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, just make sure to make your saves into a different slot,
I
and then
I
that's what it'll
remember.
take when it makes a completion. Yeah.
Okay, so we're all gonna have different voices throughout. We'll kind of figure it out as we go, but I'm pretty sure Shroob is gonna be Toriel
Yes.
and Susie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think.
And Bird Butler.
Oh, Bird Butler. Okay.
Oh, well, you're a bird butler. Damn.
I'll be-
Yeah,
Oh, did you guys,
I wanted
did you guys
head
not
Bird
like my
Butler.
Bird Butler voice?
Well, we wanted to shuffle them around a little bit.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I'm just, you know.
we're all
saying shit.
voice actors here. We gotta
I-
take. We gotta take what we want.
I like Fancy Man.
Wow, Evelyn, great. Thank you. I think.
Chris.
I really like
Yes.
the sultry voice I could give it.
I am debating whether or not I want to take Rules card.
Chris, honey, are you awake? Wait! Is that a knife? No!
Whatever channel point redeems happen, I
Chris,
just
did you
put it
eat
up on
all
myself
of the
to do it.
pie?
You can't prove it.
It is your knife in this empty tin, is it not?
What do you?
Fuck.
We're really hungry.
How could you not hide
Hungry.
the
Oh,
evidence?
Chris. Am I going to have to lock the oven again?
They did hide the
I thought that
evidence
said
in
lock
their
you in the oven.
Lock you in the oven.
I have to
They-
lock you in the oven again.
Putting the
The
baby in
last-
there.
I can turn this
The
dial at
last-
any time.
The
Man,
last
they
time
did.
I almost didn't hear when I started preheating it.
Oh no!
Well, hurry out of bed. It is time for school.
Yeah, it's school. Everyone loves school, obviously.
I don't.
No.
I love that little fake out at the beginning.
Good morning, Chris. Shake, shake,
I-
shake, 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 shake.
Like
I
everyone
still
was like, "Oh,
love
Chris is so
the-
evil."
Chris effectively just has his like safety knife that he carries everywhere.
Yeah.
Chris's emotional support knife.
Aw.
I
We
see
all
you
have
have already
one.
started the evil route of stealing your brother's $5.
I love
borrowed.
$5.
$5.
Epic game stuff. I have one of those. Fully drawn design for a game. Last boss is a creature with giant rainbow wings. Doesn't seem like this
Hell
game ever
yeah.
saw the light of day. I wonder what that could be.
Hmm.
Truly a mystery.
We don't have the Susie star yet.
No, it's not yet. That's what they call you.
It's cool.
What?
It's kind of
What do they
weird.
call you? No time to read books.
Uh,
Just generally. Okay, who has time for books anymore?
Literature.
Yeah,
who
you
gives
just
a
you
shit?
just eat the books to gain the knowledge, right?
Yes,
I know I would.
that's what I do.
I slather the book juice on my face to absorb it through my skin.
I like to put mustard on my books.
I prefer spicy brown mustard on mine.
I grind my books up and snort them.
It makes the
No,
books
that's not how
tingly.
knowledge is gained.
Yeah,
I prefer to I
That's how you lose
prefer
brain
to
cells.
I prefer to
apply
inject the knowledge
directly
directly
to
into my brain, into my veins.
Yeah.
I
Shoot it up.
smoke
That's
them.
fast.
I
Those
don't-
little pages
I don't
Have
remember
you
this
ever
interaction.
smoked a book?
Not recently.
Would
I've
you
seen somebody
smoke a book?
It might have
I've
been
seen
chapter
somebody
one I'm
smoke
thinking
a
about.
joint that was made from
Smoke
a
a
Bible
book.
page.
Yeah,
Congrats,
no.
you have been booped.
That goes hard.
is a fun fact. If you ever need to roll a joint, and you're at a hotel or something, use the Bible paper. It is a higher,
it's
thinner
free.
quality of paper. No, it is legitimately a higher, thinner quality of paper that is basically the same used for rolling paper.
You gotta
Oh.
also take the most the most cited Bible like pages,
So John
Leviticus.
3:16.
so that the next time
But-
someone opens that Bible, they're gonna immediately like see the missing pages.
No. See, you're just intaking the Holy Spirit in the most direct way possible.
Oh god.
Well,
Touching the pages.
shall we go?
Meow.
No.
How good of a driver do you think Toriel is?
Incredible.
Crashes into a tree 2
I-
feet away from the house.
I
Yeah.
would like to suggest Indigo for Alphas.
Of course.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Chris, there you are. Even
Perfect.
Susie showed up before you.
Hello.
That is perfect.
Hey, Chris! If I knew you were gonna be late, I wouldn't have showed up on time.
Susie, please don't kick your desk. Treat school property like you treat people.
Don't say that. Okay.
Okay,
Just keeps doing
next time
Damn.
I'll aim for the vitals.
it. Does it just have vitals?
Where would a desk's
That's
vital
not
parts
what
be?
The soft underbelly.
Yeah.
Where all the chewing gum is.
Ew.
In any case, good morning, class.
Why is the
We have a
why
lot
is,
to go over today.
why is the underneath of the desk soft?
Ew.
The chewing gum.
We're starting the reading from page 142. Any volunteers?
I guess I could read the.
Who would be voicing him?
I think
Trevor
that,
yourself, not Noel.
I thought Min wanted to.
Oh wait, you can do it, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, then
yeah. Trouble yourself not, Noel.
Yes.
I will valiantly take this blow of humiliation.
I'm not gonna lie, if I was tasked to do it, I would do Squidward.
Squidward.
Noel.
You
Noel.
gotta do Squilliam.
Wow.
Oh my god.
He's Noel. He's Noel.
You can't do Squidward, you have to do Squilliam because he's more pretentious.
Man.
Who wants to be Noel,
Oh,
though?
no, I'm Noel. Sorry, I was
No, yeah.
adjusting something. That's okay. I can.
Page 142. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Times are pretty good. Times are pretty bad. Mediocre times. Iffy times. So times.
Your eyes. Listening to this, your eyes begin to close automatically. Fuck you, Burley. I'm tired.
Have a nice day, everyone. And please remember your group projects.
They never explained what we're even supposed to do with it for our group project.
Oh,
What
oh,
subject
I-
is it?
Are
I
you okay?
100 expect to hit the end of the game or whenever it's due, and like it's literally just going to be, yeah, we were never informed of what it was, that they just did nothing.
It could be.
Hmm.
Huh.
You were up to sleeping all class. Don't worry, I'm not mad, just concerned. Usually you only sleep through the start.
It was Burley. It had to.
Good luck and rest well tonight, okay?
Thanks. I'm gonna snoop on your
Whatever.
computer.
That was
Wallpaper is
me like
updated.
every.
Buff embracing heroes are now edited to be 4 inches apart. With dialogue about proper distancing. Oh, this is during COVID, that's right. I wonder if your mother had some influence on this change. Toriel would be like the Karen at the school board meeting or something. Absolutely.
Chris, this whole partner thing. You didn't lose sleep over it, did you?
Lost sleep from being Susie's partner. Like Susie's fine. We really didn't do anything.
Nice.
Huh? Chris? That's good, I think. So maybe you were just staying up late talking to Azrael online again?
Talking about. Well, what do you think they talk about over the internet?
Goat stuff.
Sexy dragons.
I
Yeah,
hope not.
Yeah,
talking
that's
about.
what I'm
No.
talking about.
No, because
They're dragon
there's
drawings.
the How to Draw Dragon books.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Furry art.
furry art.
Ah,
What
wait,
i-
you can't do that, right?
What is it with goats and liking dragons?
Hey, like dragon horns.
Horns.
Oh,
Horny
Green
yeah.
handlebars.
handlebars.
I hope the internet gets fixed soon.
Me too.
Don't want
I
to.
don't want to revert into my primal form.
I need my yaoi, Chris.
I'm sorry, what?
She got the she's terminally online.
What am I gonna do without my yaoi?
Chris, I need my
Look
buff.
who it
and-
is. The school zombie. You were sleeping like a corpse all class.
Sergey.
Huh, what's the matter?
Chris
Had
being eepy.
trouble going Betty by last night? Huh. Me too, Chris. Like I could sleep after yesterday? Just waiting for today. It felt like years.
I'm pretty sure it had been years between chapters 1 and 2. I think that's what they're talking about a little bit.
So
Chris,
real.
I woke up and the calendar said it's been 5 years.
Oh my
How long were
god.
we in there?
Chris, when the fuck are we?
Did all that happen? Lancer, Rousey,
Help.
everyone? Are they still?
Was it real?
Look, you've been wondering the same thing, right? Come on already!
Ah! fucking like being dragged along on a rope behind a tow truck or something. Just like
All right, Chris, this is it. Moment of truth. Everything we've been waiting for is just behind this. If we open this and there's nothing inside, we still be. Screw it, let's just open it already.
Susie?
Yeah?
Yeah, huh?
Noel! Hey!
Hey.
Just like leans on the door.
Yep.
Slams
She
fist
would.
against the wall behind Noel.
Yeah.
What
But there's no
hell?
wall behind Noah.
are you doing here?
Sorry to bother you, but, I just, Bertley and I were going to the library to do some research for our group projects, and if it's okay, would you want to come too? Oh, Chris, you can come too, I mean.
I mean,
I didn't get any of that.
we're like, busy with, Chris, help me out here. What do we say?
Hanging out alone in a closet or crime. Also, hi everybody in chat. Hopefully you're all doing good. What do you guys think?
Woo.
Crime.
It usually
I
is
don't
a
know,
cart
hanging out
crime.
in a closet's funny though.
They're both pretty good options.
True.
I think crime is funnier.
Yeah, let's go do crime.
Crime.
You know, just committing crimes. Just gonna do some crimes and go to jail
Forever.
forever. It sucks.
Well, that sounds, just, have fun, you two. I'll, be at the library. Chris, if you could get if you could bring her by later, that would mean a lot to me. Actually, wait a second. Susie, I have something for you. Okay, see you, bye!
It's a lunchbox.
You're robbing a bank?
It's-
We'll get there.
It's an eraser.
It's full of chalk!
Chalk? She had chalk the whole time?
That little slut! Pouring all over the
Chris,
Yeah.
chalk.
you're giving me chalk. What does it mean?
She wanted Susie to like fucking beat up Chris and just like, God, I wish that was me.
What does a deer need fucking chalk for? Didn't give it to Alphys.
I do love that is how Noelle was trying to get alone time with Susie, though, of like,
I
I'll
got
make it
chalk
work.
for
Yeah,
you!
actually.
Well, no, so Alphys would have to pick someone to go get chalk, and Noelle was like going to volunteer to go until someone
yeah.
said Chris do it.
Yeah, she was gonna get the chalk with
What the hell?
Susie.
But-
Chris!
Why doesn't Chris do it? The hell, Chris?
Here, you hold on to this.
I got the chalk. Thank you.
Wait.
She's got the chalk.
Chris! What the hell was that? Why would Noelle ask me to do homework with her?
Women are
That
so
was much.
confusing.
Does she
Yeah.
wanna fail?
Wait a
Wait a
second.
second. Wait a second. Chris, did you notice how nervous she was? And like blushing and stuff?
Just this entire time, I'm imagining like, it's zooming into her face as she's talking, and just the background is the fucking dial-up noise.
Chris, you don't think she
You don't think she can smell her blood, do you?
she's on to her secret identities? You know, this Dark World stuff. Damn. We gotta keep this under wraps, Chris.
Why does no one else go into these doors? Is there no... What was it before? It was a weird closet. Are there any
Guess
janitors?
a locked door or something?
Just always been at school forever and ever.
This is our thing.
No one goes
You
in there.
know?
Yeah, Chris, it has our name on it. Look, it's all over the prophecy.
Look at the whole prophecy that's been inscribed on the janitor's closet, Chris. Anyway, enough waiting already, right?
Let's go!
Closet where we dissociate.
Look at my cool armbands, Chris.
Chris, I'm a magical girl.
Association closet.
Finally.
Chris, you're a magical dog.
Magical dog. What's the dog doing?
Chris just gets fucking dog ears.
Doggy.
Here we are.
Oh, I hope we can get Marianne for chapter 4 again.
Man.
Oh shit. Am I
Or-
being Ross?
Who wanted to be
Yeah.
Rouse?
I mean, does anybody
I mean,
else
aren't you-
want
I will, but
Toothpaste
like,
Boy?
you know,
I like Rossi.
Okay, you go for him, Indigo.
Really? Okay.
yeah,
yeah.
Chris, Susie,
like
it's
I
been
don't
ever
know.
so long.
Like I played Ross for 4 fucking chapters already. I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's been
okay.
what? A day?
A singular day. In the span of multiple years, real lifetime, it's only been like minimal a week through all
Oh,
the
down here-
chapters.
down here it's actually been years.
What
Time
did you
moves
do while I
faster in
was
the Dark
gone?
World.
Wait for you to come back.
Wait for you to come back.
So real.
Oh no.
Oh, that is short, isn't it? It's just that I've never had friends before.
You give us he's such a little dork voice.
So I've never waited so long to see them again either.
This is so adorable. That's great.
Fine. Guess we'll try not to let you die of loneliness. I bet Lancer wants to see us too, right? Hey,
Where is that little fuck?
wait a sec.
Where is that little
Where'd
fucker?
that
Where's
little
my
guy go?
homeboy? Where is Lancer? Where's everybody?
Ate him.
Wait, not Susie. You'll see them in a moment.
Well,
hate
I
him,
got
Susie.
I got hungry while you
here,
were
right?
gone, and
It was stressy.
Stress eating.
Okay. Hey,
I'll say with
better
a
not be some kind of prank or something.
a suspiciously darkener shaped stump.
Chris, I have something to ask you. I need you to return to the light world
Oh my god.
and go to the old classroom
No.
to the east of the closet doors. Inside, gather everything on the ground and bring it back here. Could you?
I need you to steal everything.
I would
that
I would
isn't
never
nailed
do
to the
that.
floor, Chris.
Take all the shit.
Take the light bulbs too.
Yeah, well, I'll
Just
just.
tell him to get cigarettes.
How many Chris's does it take to unscrew a light bulb?
At
One
least 2.
Susie.
We don't know because there hasn't been 2 Chris's, so we know
Oh my
there's
god, why are you?
it at least needs 2.
Someone's assaulting Celeste.
Yeah, Celeste just got hit with a watermelon.
Damn.
What?
No.
I have stream
Oh.
open.
Yeah.
And Robin has like a throwable plugin.
I do. That's an
Ow.
extension below the stream. Oh, kisses for Min. Yeah.
Voice from Reaper.
Alright. Who wants to be Lancer?
I could do Lancer.
You want to?
You want to
No,
be
I
Lancer?
Guess who's back, clowns?
Like,
Oh, and I get blown up.
Lancer!
Boom, baby.
Hey, Chris. Don't know what you did, but hell yeah! Everyone's here! But, what happened to, Lancer's castle?
Oh god.
Oh god,
I eated it.
Eated it.
I got hungry while you were gone.
Dad
Hey,
got hungry.
Then Chris sealed the fountain. That dark world disappeared. And turned back into a normal classroom.
So, where's Lancer gonna live now?
Don't worry, Susie. We'll conquer Rousey's castle as our own.
Yay!
Chris, as you bring dark world denizens back here, the power of our fountain will transform this town more and more. From now on, the enemies we spare will be recruited to our town.
Imagine
So let's keep sparing enemies, okay?
Yeah, about that.
Anyhow,
Just like-
why don't we all have a look around?
Chris puts an arm on Rousey's shoulder. I'm gonna be real with you. I ain't doing none of that shit.
Chris smacking knuckles in silence.
Not if I surprise myself first. The last one there's a fresh and fragrant egg.
Ooh.
Come on, Chris. You gonna let him beat us?
No.
Unfortunately, all of the eggs here have cracked.
Ah.
I thought you were racing.
Yeah, I want to be the egg.
He's a bit of a round egg, isn't he?
He's a beautiful pumpkin.
He's
You
a
little rotten
beautiful
egg.
pumpkin.
My little bouncy pumpkin.
She.
Sheem, Sean. It's
I
like
don't
Sean.
remember his voice. I thought it was like Sheem.
Sheem.
Sean.
To be like goofy.
Sham. Sheem.
But it's pronounced
Yeah.
like Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Sean.
It's a
No,
reference
it has
to.
M or something, doesn't it?
No,
Has
it's a reference to Jacksepticeye.
Yeah, it's Sean.
No, Sham.
Sean? Thought it had an N.
Sham.
Yeah,
with an
it-
M
it's spelled.
M.
It's it's spelled like seam, but
Yeah,
like
but it's pronounced
it's
Sham.
pronounced like Sean.
Yeah.
Spooky.
Spooky.
Incredible clown. It seems he gave you something. I'm not like I'm kind of like not sure if we want to do like
Wait, let me
everything.
find his
Everything.
voice. Yeah,
Just
I had a
'cause-
voice for him. It's like that crystal. It's nearly invisible.
Invisible.
But you've been holding on it this whole time. Here,
Oh my god, that one.
take it off your hands and the present. Incredible. Do you think he had a shadow crystal?
I bet he could sound like Puss from Breasts and Boots.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
I am
saying.
loose. I am boots.
Yeah.
I am Shum.
Yay!
I am Cat in Rags.
Shadow crystals, so called because you can only see the shadow. Call it a premonition, but I get the feeling you may find more of these. If you continue to defeat strong adversaries like him, that is. If you can gather more shadow crystals, bring them here. I'm sure I can stitch together something incredible for you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
This almost feels offensive.
What kind of junk do I got?
I don't know why, but I feel like I'm just trying to. Oh no, wait, that is the voice of Puss in Boots. Antonio Banderas.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, the dad from Spy Kids is Puss in Boots.
Haha.
Oh yeah.
Little new. Do a stretch.
Oh no. Oh, I cracked my neck while stretching.
Oof. Is it a good one or a bad one?
my
It felt nice. I just cracked my neck a lot because of metal spine.
I just
Metal
cracked my
bones.
lock because it's fucked up.
Bye bye.
So I'm a very anxious person.
No, trust me, I can feel the anxiety right now. It's well.
Spooky. It is the time of month. Like an orange sword with a bat hilt. Perfect. Perfect.
Ooh.
I swear I didn't have that description before.
Just wanted to show off your huge house, huh?
They're huge honkers.
Oh no.
You're massive, bug.
You massive Balconica
No,
hooks.
what I want to show you is upstairs.
Is it
Even bigger for Hanukkah hooks.
I have a surprise for you two. I made rooms for you in the castle.
Rooms?
So you can stay here whenever you want. I'd be happy if this place could be like a second home to you. A place that you can go no matter what's happening outside.
Yeah, we'll just
You don't
hide.
have to go back to your abusive household.
Yeah, we'll just hide in a closet for the rest of our lives.
Well, we'll take a look.
Yeah. My manual. Thank you. I'm not sure if we want to go through like all the dialogue or else we'll be here for a while.
Yeah, we can like
Oh my god.
speed things along as needed.
Decorative moss.
Ah,
How does your room
Speaking
get
of moss.
Lucky.
My moss, Rouse.
Wait, no, it's moss you can't eat, so it's the worst type of moss.
That won't stop her.
Decorative moss is still edible moss.
That's true.
And Susie, this is your room.
Hi, Forbin.
I tried to make it something you like, but you can put anything else you want in here too. I really hope you like it.
It's fucking pink. I love pink.
Me too, gal.
Punches hole in the wall. Much better. Now it feels like home.
Yay.
I made it look like you.
Look, Rouse. Hey, this hole's U-shaped.
Where'd this Rouse hole come from?
Oddly Rouse-shaped fist hole.
What do you mean fist hole?
Because she punched a hole in the wall.
Oh, well, we punched Rouse and then Rouse made the hole in the wall.
Alright, Rouse, hold still. I'm gonna make an imprint of you in the wall.
Oh my god. He's just a fluffy splatter instead of making a hole. He's just too soft to make a dent in the wall.
There's just like a squeaky noise that happens.
Yeah, like,
Oh my god.
Those were my lungs.
Aw, you weren't using them. Don't mind me.
Oh my god. That fucking noise.
I love it.
We can skip through these.
I'll keep digging holes until I reach your room. Got a door. Wow, Peach Boy, you went all out.
I thought it was toothpaste though.
I mean, you have multiple nicknames. That was the first
As the
nickname we ever got.
prophecy foretold.
as the prophecy foretold.
I'm foretelling you.
I still like laugh every time at the point where it's like, and he shall call him toothpaste and boy.
Toothpaste and boy. A little thick on the frosting. That was for sharing! I don't want to read to make an interception. Man, that's how I make all of my meals is in a cauldron like that. conforms into whatever I wish.
And that's how a dragon eats a cake.
You're really good at eating cake, though.
I need golden cake.
Yes. That's why I have so much of it.
Who wanted to be rules?
I would like to
Oh.
take...
Us has transplanted its us. Okay, that's fine. You can do it.
Thou hast transplanted us
Right, I
to
did.
thine castle towny, and truly a magnificent town of Castle Citard. I kind of like doing that for him.
Oh
I
my
like
god.
making it where I love also
Okay,
doing
yeah, I like
where
that. Do that.
he mispronounces every like eloquent word he's trying to use.
Probably.
I love it.
He has no idea what he's trying to say.
Extra fancy.
Would you perhaps bring us an evil ruler or something?
Cringe in an evil rulery.
Fringy, yeah. I'm out of here. Aw, this guy here. I want to do a stupid project.
Oh, you did
Kinda.
homework?
Oh, Rousey could definitely eat the homework. I love that little face of Rousey makes.
Yeah.
I banished you from this kingdom until you
Yes,
start your
you
project.
Kingdom until you start your project.
I need to get
Fine.
Min with that face.
Do it. Jeez. I need Shrew with that expression.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need Celeste with that expression.
Don't worry. I'll go and help you too.
That was supposed to be me, but okay.
Wait, Lancer, perhaps you shouldn't.
Too late, kind boy.
Kind boy.
Friendship form.
Yay! Ugh. Lancer was added to your key items. Your pockets became fuller.
What? Where'd you
Yes,
go?
friendship, idiot.
Don't worry.
I just entered your inventory. I'll just be hanging out in Chris's pocket.
The pocket moth we always knew we
I-
wanted.
It makes me think of that one moment in Adventure Time where someone's like, "Where's Jake?" And it's like,
What's that pocket?
it's like,
I've been
"Oh,
meaning
he's
to
like
ask
this little
you.
pocket."
What's with that pocket in your shirt? Oh, Jake's in here. What's up, Jake?
And it's just Lancer.
Basically.
Poot.
I can see Lancer also doing the poot.
Yeah. I'm absolutely sure there's gotta be a redraw of that with Lancer. You could probably look it up.
Good luck,
Bye.
Big Chris. See you soon.
Bye, toothpaste boy.
Come back when you finish your
Come back
homework.
When you finish your homework.
Oh,
What if
bye.
in a room you can't slack off in it?
Man.
I mean, jack off. Wait.
What? I heard my name.
Damn, you skipped out on us. Blaze, you're fucking bailed. Ain't no way.
Where do you want to jerk off, Chris?
Where's the best place to jerk off? Besides the closet.
I know a great place. Come with me.
Jack of spades and the rules card. Moo? What you mooing for, Pichu?
Moo.
Oh my god, the beeper!
Wait, I'm a goat now. Yeah, whatever.
Ah.
Some dog caused
Bah.
traffic. I like that you can hear the Spear of Justice theme in the honks sometimes. It's terrible.
I can't hear the music very
I
well.
loved when for a while after like Undying happened, there was like a meme of like people breaking through wall and it just being the da 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 da.
That's a good one. Yeah, just kind of like a Kool-Aid Man, but Undying.
Alright, let's see if I can find any.
School goddamn project.
Goddamn project.
Books goddamn crazy about it. We'll just like do most of the funny lines until we get there. Screw this, let's go play space pinball in the computer lab.
Rip space pinball, honestly.
Dark World 2 Electric Boogaloo. I mean, it's just common sense. We gotta do this before we do our project. It just happens to be there in the way. I mean, it'll just take care of itself, really. We can use the computer at my house. Draco.
Chris, you're right. Like, you said a correct fact. But you made a mistake.
Oh shit.
The mistake of knowing me!
So,
Because
I
when
have
I see a big
question.
pit, all I want to do is jump in. And as long as you're with me, I'm dragging you in too.
I think Shrimp's too into voice acting to hear your questions.
Yeah, what was the
Tonight
question?
we dine in hell.
Yeah!
So that, what is it called? That dark fountain was opened there after Noelle and Birdley got into that room, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Or, it was probably
Oh,
yeah, it was probably
so
before they went in and didn't
Yes.
know it was there.
Well,
Well,
usually
that when
when
it was in there, but did Chris open it like last night? They just
Oh,
walked in
yeah.
there not knowing? Because like the other thing, like the other person who it could be, Noelle would recognize.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
wouldn't
just
it be
like
the middle
they-
of the day already? Like, I don't think they would have
It-
gone to the library until after school.
it's just like the reason I'm thinking this is because they think it's all a dream.
Yeah, we never
But
really.
if they had like walked into it and all of this stuff happened, why would they think it's a dream?
I kind of wish they were
They-
just like permanent party members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, because there is a place that is quote unquote big enough for a person to hide in that room, they're probably hiding in the server room and then activated the dark fountain when the bait came in, being Noelle and Birdley.
Somebody, please. Oh, Susie! Cool that you're here. Just wait. Get out of here before it's too late.
I mean, I would like to say that if you think about it, the castle would likely be in the server room. Because that's where all the information's stored.
Maybe.
God, who wants to be queen, or could I do it? I kind of want to do it since you're Susie.
Yeah, you can do it.
A hell of a study session.
Who the hell are you?
I'm not a serial number. Q5U4E X7YY2E9N. What you foolish children may call me Queen.
One moment, let me finish my vodka.
I love how she holds up a finger as she drinks.
One
Like, we're gonna
moment.
call you Queen. Q5U 3
Drown
7.
yourself in the digital battery acid.
Queen.
Well, look, Queen, we're not children.
Teens are merely big children, and adults are even bigger children.
Yeah.
Does that make you a child too, then?
Stupid equals big stupid. No, I am. I'm a computer.
Big stupid.
Computer?
Well, thank you for the stimuli, but I must leave now. Goodbye.
Wait! Why'd you capture Noelle?
I would have captured you too, but I ran out of cages. What?
Why the capturing?
So that she may become my willing peon. In my quest for world domination.
There was the start of something
Oh,
You're gonna
incredible
pee on
in
her?
our.
Starberry was with us.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Okay, so-
It just turned into immediately of, I want to pee on her.
No! I'm going.
I'm turning her into my willing peon.
The
I'm
deer-
going to pee on her.
The deers in the forest are free. You can just pee on them.
You could just pee on them.
A peon! I see. Also, maybe I'll make her face into a robot one. What? Why?
What? Why? Wait. That'd actually be kind of hot.
Seems cool. It would be hard. It's a robot. Robots are the peak character design in any video game.
Well,
Yeah.
forget it, dude.
Unless it's a monster.
Nobody's turning anyone's face into a robot.
Monster robot.
Could that be a statement of an animus dissension?
So
Being
it's
a robot.
What?
You wanna fight, loser?
Yes! Yes, Artie! Yes!
Oh, then bye. Ah!
Wait a goddamn second!
I have no time for such
that
frivolity.
bitch.
Ed will kick your ass. But perhaps someone else could entertain you.
Oh, we have to compliment ourselves.
I fucking love Clean so much. Enjoy your simulation. Let's go. Oh man, I hope I can do this.
The self compliments have come in.
We all have to do it.
Your DM. Yeah, I agree that we all have to do it.
What are we
I
doing?
asked
Oh
you, we all
yeah,
have
do
to
it.
Do it. I don't want.
Do it.
Yeah.
Well, you go first,
I'm
streamer.
a hard worker.
Streamer!
Streamer.
Streamer.
I don't even know what that's from.
I'd say for me, I like my motherly attitude. It helps
You
people
do.
feel comfy. Thank you.
That's nice.
There's something fun about being motherly.
Mhm.
It's fun.
And what about you, Robin?
Down?
What's your self compliment?
I'm a bit of a silly big sister with a comfy, silly goober energy, and it's super cute. Or something.
Mhm.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
I don't know if I give
Sure.
off motherly energy. I don't know. What do I give off?
I don't know, you're just comfy in general.
I like that I can fluster girls with just a good girl.
Oh, you are a good girl, aren't you?
Ooh.
Just stay still and let Mama Robin do all the work for you, okay?
I'm getting the vapors.
Yippee!
Why would you do that?
Oh,
Why would you
Lord.
do that?
Holy shit!
Oh Lord, she's spicy!
I have to fan myself.
Oh.
I
Just like
Anyway,
my
declare,
in church.
Min, true, yours. Oh, wait, no.
I did
Sorry,
Oh.
Min. Fuck, help. Is it? I've
What are you
reached the
doing?
next step. I've reached the next step of being a mother. I'm getting their names mixed up. Help.
God damn it!
Oh
Wait,
fuck.
Indigo,
going
we're
down
gonna
the
say
list.
we're gonna say the sweating like a whore in church.
I said sweating like a slut in church, but that
Shock,
one
I mean,
too.
Min.
Sweating like a slut in church.
You dare
I
confuse me.
I will say this is still my favorite track.
It's really, it's very good.
Okay, I like how I can just, like, fit myself into conversations and get along with a lot of people really easily.
Ah,
Is it bad that that's not where I thought those
Yeah.
words were gonna go?
What?
It started with fit myself, and I was. Thought you were going in a different
Oh.
direction.
Silence.
You're dirty.
Indeed.
Yeah?
You have to compliment yourself.
I'm a hard
I
worker.
already did.
I draw good.
Alright, I gotta go. It was fun.
Bye.
Being
Am I-
okay.
Bye, Celeste.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Have a nice day.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
You guys too. Have a good stream.
Hugs and squishes.
Looks and squishes. Fuck, it's tangled.
I love how basically with who's left now we have waist up, thigh up, and full body.
I got a
Oh, yeah.
check.
Scrimp check. Remember to check your scrimps.
Pretty shrimpy.
My scrimps are delicious.
I literally have a sticker on my cup that says a shrimp at a computer. It says, why does my back hurt? It's me.
Because of my fat tits.
Your tits are so big. Mine could be bigger, but that's up.
No, it's because I scrimp in.
Scrimping.
Stimulating them is helping.
I cut mine off.
But I also had to like squish them together
agree.
and make them look like that.
Yeah.
I still hated how long it took me to learn that the 3 robots are a Homestar Runner reference.
What?
So their names are Sweet, Cap'n, and Cakes, which is a
Yeah.
reference to a Strong Bad email about the weird show of Sweet Cup and Cakes.
Oh.
Well, honey, become my willing peon and I will free you. All you have to do is hit yes on the peon release form.
Do you
I-
want to stay in the jar, Noel?
Do you want to stay in the jar, Noel? I'm scared. Or have you ever signed a form before? No, it's everything else that's scary. Please abort your sadness protocol. I told you being a peon will be cool.
Noel!
Oh, sorry, I mean... You're all big now that Celeste is gone.
Big man.
It's so lesbian for Queen. Okay, mood though.
Real.
She's very
She
silly.
can,
Yeah.
she can pee on me
Hi, Ian.
anytime.
I will
No!
say the large head would be interesting.
What'd that head do? There's something they're gonna do! Oof.
You knew that.
Oh dear, that was supposed to be a surprise. Oh well. See ya!
Yoink.
Wait,
It is quite troubling. A peon must be willing to assist me in world domination. If only she had fellow peons to encourage her. So, like, you guys, hey, are you, like, doing anything right now? And you go,
Oh, we are going to help you.
understood. Mind teaching protocol necessitated. Ah, the big plate. Where?
9 arcade game?
I shall humiliate you at a simple children's diversion. With your self-esteem eradicated, there will be no choice but to serve me.
The hell? I've never played this one before.
But Chris is quite good at games, aren't they?
Oh yeah, Chris. Forgot you were nerd. Show her.
What the fuck?
Use your nerd power.
If I leave. No!
You cannot leave.
Chris, congratulations on losing horribly. I advanced my internal clock to when I've already won. Happy birthday. Wait, it's not my birthday. What?
It's not my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday. You tried to use the arcade machine. You weren't tall and strong enough to use the controls. How strong do you have to be to use like a joystick? What's the matter with you? Self-esteem eradication complete. Running laughing protocol.
It's okay, Chris. I'm short too.
Yeah.
When is Susie's birthday? I don't
Chris,
know.
wait! I have an idea! Chris, if we can combine our powers, then... Look! I'll show you what I've been practicing! Oh no.
He gets better at it every chapter.
I've been practicing.
Magical stool form R.
I've been practicing.
Yeah.
Style, Chris.
No.
Now we're talking. All right, Chris.
I'm
Give it to
furniture.
me. Put your arms out.
Magical girl transformation. Pew.
Power Beast Form S. Move your arms and I'll move them with you. Let's go.
Splort. Incredible. Your transformation is combining all of your weak parts. Devastating crushing efficiency 300% and rising. Men's virtual combat. This is great. I don't think they have birthdays. What are they saying? Shut up.
I want a sticker for Elsie like that.
I said shut up.
Because it's girl pill time.
Girl pill time. I usually take
Girl
mine
pill
around
time.
midnight.
Midnight.
Ow.
The girl hour.
Girl time. Girl time.
The girling hour.
Girl time. I always take mine before and after work, and then my injections are on Sundays. Thought you could beat us?
I don't take them at all.
Oh my, that was actually quite amusing. Your knife forms have exceeded my expectations. I will offer you a new, exceedingly benevolent compromise. Assimilate into my cyber army, and there is only a 50% chance I will reprogram your face. Please select your choice. Perish in the chill of absolute destruction, or flourish under the warm bosom of my hellish reign.
Was
I like bosoms. They're nice.
Blossom.
Yeah, I am a hi.
Bosom.
How was your
Oh, you got
PM?
bosom
Please.
Boobies.
Oh my god, hello.
Please.
What? Oh, Zortista and Ayame. Hello. You both were playing PM together. Yay! How is everybody? Welcome in. For those that don't know me, I'm Robin Sashiko. The alchemist is here to make your day a little bit spooky. I am a chaotic, comfy indie game and variety game streamer and aspiring voice actress. I'm currently here playing Deltarune Chapter 2 with a couple of goobers. We're going to be doing the Snowgrave route, but just kind of cuz I thought it'd be funny to play during the Halloween month.
the weird route.
We're going to do Snowgrave route. I actually streamed the Snowgrave route a long time ago with somebody. But I don't care. I like Deltarune. I want to go through it again.
It's fun.
It's so good. Yeah, if you need to go take care of yourself, go get a snack, go get a drink. Oh god! Darville! Ah! Ruff! Thank you. Yeah, go take care of yourselves. I guess I'm a butler now. Also, here's my Discord, my socials, and my merch page if you want to grab anything yummy for yourself. We're just about to talk about some boobies, so feel free to stick around. Oh yeah, the floating candy corn. God dang it.
Lures.
Oh yeah.
It means titty.
Yeah, the cursed
It means
candy
titty.
corn that's suspended in front of you.
the spelling.
I don't know if it... Do I?
It means titty.
It means titty. Oh yeah, I do have it. Not you. There we go. I'll take off my hat.
I'll say just like slowly raises his arm.
Who does?
I'll say.
Titty.
I'll say.
Well, we know what it
We
means!
know what it means.
He's
We are
blushing.
helping you.
Rouse... Rouse likes titty. Look at him. He's thinking about it.
Yeah.
He's so impure.
All time.
Or he's so pure. Understood. Preference setting to set to perish. Bye.
Come on, let's go after her.
Okay. Queen is the best character in video games. A lot of the intro themes to each chapter are really good.
Yeah.
Or to,
Oh,
to each new
good.
Dark World, I should say. Ta-da! Oh no! No, the kitty's stuck.
No.
Man, cats are so stupid. They're so cute and have no idea what. They don't know anything that's happening.
They don't even know they're alive.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Uh,
Schrodinger's existence.
Schrodinger's fat dumpy.
what? It's either there or it's not until you turn around.
Schrodinger's dumpy.
Schrodinger's thick ass.
I'm so good.
Honestly, wearing a binder is like Schrodinger's titties.
That's true.
I love it when people have drawn like the bra of holding.
Yeah, that one's great.
That like just makes your chest flat and put your titties in another dimension, and that's the one where it's like,
Oh, there it is.
do they have fat titties or are they flat
Titties
chested?
faced.
Titties.
Imagine you're just in the same space somehow, and you're just like, what the fuck is that?
Someone else's boobs are touching my boobs in the void.
Who could it be?
Hell yes. I just
Just
see
grabbing
that
my
as
boobs in the
nothing
void.
but an absolute win.
Free titties.
Infinite free titty.
Infinite free titty.
Fuck.
Just click here. I swear it's not spyware.
Infinity.
Infinity!
Infinity.
I'm getting so many
Yes.
ideas.
Fuck.
You guys are making me so creative.
You're being so creative right now, darling.
Boobs really are inspiring.
True.
Ah. What do they mean by this chat?
Gaius Elfebriher?
Same.
He was number one.
He was number
Sound of
one.
motorboating.
What about motorboating?
It's the sound of somebody getting motorboated.
Oh yeah. Bottom text. Man, where's my girlfriend at when I need her?
This is the sound of my face in your titty.
Yeah. Mine's upstairs.
Mine's right across the room.
She's on live stream right now.
Toki. I don't really like these guys. I thought they were kind of annoying and just kind of like one-off characters you don't get too attached to.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
It's like almost Team Rocket,
they're the Homestar Runner
but
reference.
not really.
Yeah.
I love the music though.
First and mean.
Yeah.
Perhaps they're a little silly.
Mayhaps.
Alright, what's the deal, Tor? Or do we want to skip through these guys' dialogue
Do we?
just to save time?
I kind of want to say they kind of take up a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah, I'm fine with skipping them.
You guys are cringe. Get out of my sight.
Yeah, that is from Strong Bad, that too.
Yep, that song.
I don't know if this will work or not. Guess we'll find out. I have no idea how effective any of this is. I think we have to do a little dance. They really make it hard to
Yeah.
not do genocide like Undertale.
Yeah.
Do a little dance. Let's keep dancing. Dance, people, dance! Oh, right. Ow. Dance forever. I do like that they have their they each have their little dance, and Rossi does like the little Charlie Brown dance. It's very silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it. Happy feet, dumbass.
Happy feet, dumbass!
I'm sorry, Chris. No.
Oh, dance, Chris, all dance!
Everyone is dancing and nobody can stop it.
This is so stupidly cute.
Battle win. Good
I
job,
love
everyone. Thanks, guys. Battle's over. Wrap it up.
it. You're like, get the fuck out of here.
Get out of my face. I'm busy.
All right, get out.
Meow. Yay! Who had the time to make these fireworks?
I love that.
I like that Queen just like yelled at someone to make fireworks.
Make fireworks of these idiots' faces.
They're wanted posters.
Ooh. Sure. Thanks, man. I'll be right back. But my spookies. Annoying. Not that annoying. Bad idea. Guess I could sell these ones now. I like my spooky sword. You can't have it.
How many spoopy is it? Is it 5 spoopy?
4. 6.
That's a decent amount of spoopy.
It's alright.
Significant spoofy.
Meow. Meow. Gimme me one meow.
I need to draw my cat bus more.
Your what?
Do it.
I have a cat bus character as like a familiar.
Uh. Ow. Ow. Hi. I don't get to know out until the city. Nice hat! Pension bit. Nope. Ah!
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da.
Ah. How do you get all this stuff up here? 69, eh?
Based. It's really hard to do.
I think we're almost there.
The hell are these things?
Might bring us to the fountain. Ruff. Chris kind of does look like a doggy. Enough.
I mean, have you seen the lines where Susie says like, okay, stop howling?
Stop with the puppy dog eyes. Enough, you foolish children. I've been merciful to you thus far, but now it's time for your unwillful imprisonment. Drop the capturing capsules.
You missed.
That was not a miss, it was a tactical calibration.
So, you're gonna try it again?
No, I only have like 4 cages. Okay, wait. I have a small plot twist for you. Come forward, my peon. Oh,
Oh, here we go again.
sorry, I just couldn't say no.
Noelle?
Hi, Susie. How are you?
Okay, I guess?
Your, roller coaster is, I like it.
Yours too.
Thanks.
It's okay.
Okay, this isn't working. Bring in the next guy. Wah! Yay!
Fear not, my beloved Noel. This valiant warrior of brave intelligence will be your knight in glow-in-the-dark armor.
Oh, jeez.
Birdly? You asked Birdly to be on your team?
I did not ask him, I did not ask him, I did not ask him.
That's
I like to
Lord
imagine that
Birdly.
like Queen like hovers next to Susie saying that.
Yeah.
And soon, Super Lord Birdly.
The hell does that mean?
I have no damn clue, just go with it.
You see, thanks to our wondrous queen, we will soon rule the world and turn this land of fools into a smartopia.
Oh.
A true scientocracy where the geniuses of the world can bathe freely in pools of fresh fruit and ambrosia.
What's ambrosia?
The
Food of
nectar
the
of the gods.
Yummy.
Divine booze, basically.
Mm.
No longer held back by protozoans like you.
Y'all protozoans, you have no idea what it's like being so smart.
And the key to that is us, Noel and I. Our power, the light nerd's power.
Light nerd.
You mean light nurse?
No.
No. Queen said light nerds.
Oh, I actually did. It's true.
Birdly, Queen's just manipulating you.
That's what she said you'd say to me.
I actually did.
Now, Chris. I must admit, I feel pity for you. Unlike Susie, I always saw some potential in you. Join our side, and I might
do
let
you
you
mean,
scrub our
potential?
royal toilet.
Okay.
What? Don't say it so incredulously. Well, if you're dead set on proving your inferiority, allow me to assist you.
I'm gonna remove your tail feathers, buddy.
I'm gonna cut your ass off.
Chris, I get why you're getting in my way. You're jealous, aren't you?
Man, you wish.
Hey, Chris, want to try some roast duck?
Ooh, it smells like roast duck. Queen is busy with the coloring book. Incredible.
I love her.
Chris, you're tired of being the class number 3, gazing distantly at Noel and I's fruited figures.
She's more like a deer than a
What the
fruit.
fuck?
A pluses. I love this fight.
He's collected a bunch of them just for me.
So rather than ever studying, you would enlist Susie to take us down.
I always forget about the little teeth.
Chris, you are truly depraved, playing in the mud with a class hellion. Susie's like, I don't even know what that word means.
This, you can't stop me because I can't.
Stalking me.
You can't stop me because I can't read.
I have enough instinct to know I need to punch Birdly in the face for what he's saying.
I'm actually really eepy right now. But Chris, I am a kind and brave hero. If you come to our side, you may be a slightly less distant number 3. Haha, slightly.
That's okay. I'll just be cooler than you. That fucking bird I hate. Ooh, Falco.
What? My car is braking? Fools, this is the smart smoke. It means my car is getting stronger. Holy halberd, grant me strength.
I knew it. Smoking in here. Well,
What? My coaster. It's... What? That's not fair. My queen, save me. Ah!
Dead as hell. In a minute, dear. Anyway, everyone, I have some news updates. You see, this roller coaster is not actually finished yet.
What does that mean?
Pain. Ah!
You know how to like actually do
Do we need to do Spamton for the weird route?
the weird route?
I have a guide here up on the side. So I
Okay.
don't miss anything. I'm pretty sure
Just-
it
yeah.
starts once we get Noelle on the team. Which should be
Um,
soon.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying because I know it's coming up here soon.
Okay, yep. We're almost there.
Also, don't mind me. I'm playing Minecraft in the background.
King of the
while-
trash pile now.
Ow.
Ow.
Owie. We'll give it a kiss.
Hey, do you want me to look?
Touch. Wait, 6 feet!
Also, you're not practicing social distancing.
Feel better?
Feel better if you just came up and. Doesn't feel worse, I guess. How do you do that anyway? That healing thingy.
Oh, healing magic? It's simple, Susie. Anyone could do it. I could even teach you if you're interested.
Yay! Chain smoker
Ask me
Susie.
again when it's like blood explosion magic. But if you want it, I guess I could learn it. Then you wouldn't, have to do it all the time.
Sure, Susie. Next time we have a break.
Let's just go already, Chris.
Alright. Hmm.
I'm a plant.
Thanks, man.
Info.
I keep hearing my name randomly. What's going on?
I don't know.
Nothing.
There's no one saying your name.
Huh?
No.
Alright, I heard.
Why?
I'm pretty sure I heard you say thanks, man.
Bye!
When?
The dog cones.
Just now.
Oh,
God,
so.
Robin said it.
Oh, I don't know.
Plot relevant
didn't
dog
hear it.
cones. No, I didn't say anything. Yay! I have neither fluffy boys nor mean girls. So,
Chain smoker Susie.
yeah.
I just like giving her
Accidentally.
that like raspy voice because of like
Ow.
being like the lizard she is and stuff. I feel like it's like fitting in a way.
Lizard.
Shit lizard.
She
Lizard.
does have a tail.
Not
There's
all.
also this like theory that she's like half human though.
Who?
Susie.
Oh. I think
Because she has
He's a
blood.
furry.
that was the thing with the anniversary thing recently, where because I guess Sans and Susie also has blood, and Sans was doing weird jiggy stuff in that one. So it could just be that this universe does have blood, and that the Undertale universe doesn't.
Okay.
Maybe.
I
Don't quote me
guess
on that.
because they never did like. This is where the. Well, they do have Gersten's like dust.
Yeah, but Susie does bleed. Like you see her punch the thing.
Yeah, That's why people suggest she's like half human, half monster.
Oh, Noelle, sweetie. Don't tell her if I'm here. Noelle, sweetie darling, honey, where are you? We're a team now, remember? You still have to be my willing minion. Chris, it appears our comrades have pressed the escape key on us. So it has come to this. In order to find our teams, we must form an uneasy truce. Birdly.
Min.
Queen, my splendid queen, where are you?
Oh no, don't let him find me! The perfect angle.
God, I wish I was
He's not
alone.
wearing any underwear.
Ah, Chris, not the life form I was looking for. Where's the rest of the C+ squad? Don't tell me you got abandoned. Ha! Ha ha ha! That's what you get for trusting Susie. Ha! Ha ha. Noelle? Queen? They're just busy retro gaming somewhere.
Birdly, I only play mobile games.
I bet they're waiting for me on the player select screen. Listening to strangely groovy music. Ha 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 ha. Sigh. So it's come to this.
Would Birdly actually, like, physically just say sigh instead of actually sighing?
Less
He's the kind of
sigh.
motherfucker. Sigh.
Yeah.
In order to find our respective teams, it appears we must form an uneasy truce.
What the? Who the beef said you could double truces? Oh wait, do I have I don't think I
I
do.
like how beep. Oh
Who
wait,
the
no, everyone
said you could double truces?
Huh? Did you hear something?
Honk honk, no, it's the sound of the city.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll be ahead. Don't be late.
Sorry. Chris, as part of our truce, the better one, keep distancing Birdly and find Noelle. For you see, Birdly, he's... Okay, there's nothing wrong with him, he's just annoying. Oodles!
I just don't like him.
Chris,
Like, have you listened to him talk?
he's so cringe. It's like he's never left his house in his entire life. When he doesn't
Chris,
talk about
I-
video
I've seen
games.
his Reddit history, Chris.
I've seen his Reddit history.
I think I just saw the queen's crotch. Wow, women.
I saw so much.
No triple truces. Har har, very funny. I'd rather take my chances with you than her. And so it begins.
The
Not,
worst decision of Noelle's life.
not knowing, I don't know what a sugar plum is. And we go this way.
Well, I learned something about herself today.
Chris, isn't that the wrong way? I'm already regretting this. Wait. What's going on? What are we doing?
Why did the background change?
Okay. I gotta... Oh. Ice shock. Oh! Noelle became stronger. Oh, it begins. From here, we need to go to the trash zone and freeze every enemy there. We'll have 4 encounters with enemies you'll need to defeat with Ice Shock before continuing onward. Even if there are multiple enemies in one battle, the game will still only count them as one encounter. Okay. Only Ice Shock. $20! Our beautiful money hole.
$20.
So,
Ba-ba-ba.
what things? So you said hardly anything happens in chapter 3. What do we have to do in 3?
I don't think much happens in chapter 3.
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, I know there's maybe a little bit of different dialogue. Yeah.
And for the weird out, you don't need to be getting the eggs or anything.
No. I
Okay.
think it's optional. Oh. Oh. I shot. Ugh. Chilly willy. It's been really cold lately. It's becoming the perfect temperature to be playing this, I think.
We're finally getting proper
Not
fall
here.
weather. At least a little
It's
bit.
80 degrees today. I fucking hate it.
It's like one difference in chapter 3 if you do a certain thing. Yeah. Well, eh? Not a bad name, says Nublet. Good old man. Oh, fuck, did she say something? Oh, yummy.
Normal Undertale stuff, digging through the trash.
As one does.
Yeah.
Happy New Year! Ow!
Chris, you're still digging through the trash?
Nice. Said something along the lines, are you sure this is the right way? Yeah. Doing voiceovers again? Yeah, but it's not just me. I got some goobers here too.
Yeah. It's us. We're the goobers.
I'm a goober.
Ow. There we go. Door's locked. And Chris, why did you bring me here? No one's home. No one's around at all. It's so creepy. At the same time, it's kind of nostalgic. Alright, get that correct. There's no other enemies heading that way.
That's heavy.
What?
The no one's around at all. It's nostalgic.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Press only up until the room with Ferris wheel poster. Refuse all the enemies you encounter along the way. Alright, so I think we're good. Time to progress while still getting stronger. Yeah. It's wizard time, mother fluffers. I cast freezing you to death.
Magic.
We're in it for the long haul, kids.
Buckle up, buckaroo.
Buckle it up. First you wee and then you woo.
Hey, Woody.
Oh my god, kitty! I love the kitties.
Meow.
Meow.
You freeze me? Sorry, this is what we're doing today. The bird guys are gone. It begins. A mouse! Ah!
Can't believe she's a mouse racist.
Sorry, Chris. Could you deal with them somehow? Maybe you could get them in the other mouse hole? Annoying mouse room.
You're so insensitive.
Chris, if the mice hit a wall, they'll come over here. What if I just keep doing this?
Beep.
Gosh, you didn't
I
do
think
that
you're
on
supposed
purpose,
to.
didn't you? Like when they swapped eggnog with mayo. Ew. So yummy.
Yuck. Mm.
Yeah, I think that's it. Looks like that takes care of it. Freezing you cutely.
Oh no!
Gah. Ow. I think Noelle can heal too, can't she? Ow.
I don't remember.
Sleep mist. Yeah, she has
Maybe
heal
a
prayer.
little bit.
I'm not too bad right now. See ya. Deals and squeals. Oh, wow.
I wouldn't click on it.
Ah! Hot. Ugh. Well, this will definitely heat you up.
What else can heat you up? Touching boobs.
The world is cold and hard, but boobs are warm and soft. Words to
Yeah.
live by.
What if? Never mind. What if warm and hard?
You should see a doctor. How much is rent?
Cut them off.
How much would you charge for rent in your bosom there, Draco?
I must know this too. This is very important information.
Taco Bell.
You cannot buy me Taco Bell to get in my kid.
Yummy.
I mean, it works sometimes.
That's because it's you. For like other people,
Yeah.
$50 an hour.
Oh,
Holy
An
fuck.
hour.
an hour.
You undersell yourself, my dear.
That's if they're like going to be between the tents for a while, because like P2's small.
Yeah, they gotta be small. Just be a
Because
little
they did
small.
say rent.
Hey.
Giant Ferris wheel. Gosh, that's amazing. Makes the one at the festival look like a toy. I wonder if Susie would want to. Gosh, who am I kidding? Susie wouldn't. You're right. Even if I asked her, she'd probably just laugh at me. And, gosh, push me to the ground and laugh at me some more and then... What
Oh
were,
my god.
what were we
But
talking
she
about
kicked
again?
dirt on me.
I wanted
Put her boot on my head.
She
Step on
boots.
me.
Maybe this isn't a bad idea after all.
You want to be this guy?
Oh, ho, ho.
Oh,
Two young
two young
beings
be-
together on a school night. Could I interest you in some brand new dating shoes?
Huh? No, you've got it totally wrong. Chris and I are just, friends? This has been my neighbor forever. And for so much. Sometimes it feels like we know each other better than anyone. Yet, somehow it's hard to say we're exactly friends? Or something else. What does that mean? No good interpretation, that's for sure.
It's so fucking weird that Chris could just like read Noelle's brain.
Chris has
Oh,
telepathy.
here we go.
If you're something else, maybe a dating shoe isn't right. Maybe I could interest you in a freeze ring.
Huh? A ring? Sorry, I don't think we need something like that.
Come on, Angel. You can't get stronger without good equipment.
Stronger? Right, I guess that's how it works here. Chris buying me a ring? Yeah, right. Get it. Huh? Chris, you'd buy it for me?
Chris opens wallet.
Sure, I
Okay, how much?
guess we could ask about it. How much does it cost?
Just
Oh.
a small fee of $2,998.
I am $1 short. Uh-huh. Sorry, we don't have that much money.
I'm pretty sure it sets it to your money plus one.
Still, it was nice of Chris to offer. Get it. Huh? Me? You were asking me to get it. Chris, come on, you know we can't afford that. Get it. What? Chris, I just told you we don't have the money. But what are you asking me to do? You weren't asking me to just... Chris, no, not me. I could never.
Bad influence.
You got the freeze ring. But what just happened? Did I actually just... No, they must have given it to us. The ring. Besides, it's good to get stronger, isn't it? Thanks, Chris.
So did she like freeze it or?
They probably
Yeah, she
froze
froze him.
him. With a snow globe in it. Ooh. Press with no dialogue responding, but if you're trapped... What? I will take yes with dialogue of her responding, but you interrupt. Noelle will ride with me, making Noelle uncomfortable, saying, I'm not sure if... Oh, what? Wait. What does that mean? When you step off the switch, the lightning comes back. How about I hold it down and you go across?
What happened to your voice?
Timeout jar.
Robin,
Oh, I meant...
Robin's
No!
That's crazy. I didn't know it changed your voice.
What the fuck? I have an automatic
It's hilarious.
voice mod thing.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Orange, it's an area, that's about 5. Ah, okay. See, Noelle, nothing bad is going to happen. Saying that ring was good, wasn't it? So, stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about stepping off the switch and letting Chris get... Noelle, no, don't think that. That's horrible. Natural. Chris, what are you talking about? I must have said that out loud. Ooh. We're so back, babies.
Because... So that's like the player making Chris...
Oh, now they run away from me. What was that?
No, that's when like the player makes Chris say something.
Yeah.
I love how her defending is making an ice wall.
Yeah. Thank you. Max health. You let her out. Bye, Dragon Jay. Let me out of the jar. It's only for a minute. It's a timeout jar. It's not a permanent killing you jar. I don't know.
I was
Forever
locked.
jar.
I was locked in the jar for 3 fucking hours.
This is your forever jar.
The eternal jar.
This is your forever home in an ice block.
Oh.
But if I'm in here and you're
For
out
eternity.
there, then who's the shit?
Sure. Well, then where's the caveman?
I
The
can't
line.
believe that that is an SCP. No, it
That's so
legitimately
funny.
is.
Everything's an
Um,
SCP.
Hang on.
We'll
That
get
meme
there.
or that YouTube poop or whatever.
Yeah. Am I an SCP?
If you believe in yourself.
I'll have to find it because I know people got Nick Nocturne to read it.
You can take Noel's watch and wear it. I recommend it. Her watch? Silver watch. Oh.
What does it say is the description? No, for her
I called it
watch.
like... Grazing bullet affects the turn length by 10% more. What? This was mine! Fucked up. Wait, Hey, you jumbled it! Fucked up, okay. Bounce blade. Oh.
Oh, wow, wow, wow.
Wow, 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 wow.
If you haven't noticed it, the music changed for this area too. Ramia, hi! Hi, cutie. Oh, no, no. They're trying to run away from
Oh,
me.
it has.
You'll need 2 apples to stop me, Ow.
I'm curious how this makes chapter 4 different.
I think it's mostly the inside of Noelle's house. You get a interaction with her, or like an alone time
Okay.
or something. I don't know. I've seen maybe a screenshot, but I don't know what the conversation's about.
I don't know if it's accurate or not. One of the things I saw what happens.
I'm not sure. I've been trying to avoid it. Noelle was inside the snow globe. Oh, the stop switch lights are frozen. The four's beginning is very unique. The rest of the chapter is untouched. Are you sure?
Really? Oh, so the church scene.
The church scene as well as being inside Noelle's house. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna look at it. I feel like these like Snowgrave sound effects are kind of memorable. Yeah, Church of Noel's house. Yeah, I was like, let me go down here. Let's get to the Dark World. That's all normal. Alright, like really? Up until the end of the game? That seems a little silly.
I mean, Noel's not there, so.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess the weird route's kind of just Noel's route, isn't it? Moss! It's a moss. What? I can't eat it! What the fuck? Who wants to be Spamton?
Should I be Spamton?
I can't do a good Spamton.
Looking for irresistible deals that will blow your mind? Well, shut your mouth, because you are a weakling. Try a little Friday night workout. Then I'll show you my... Then I'll show you my... 4 left.
Need defeat before being able to yeah. Show you how many more encounters you need to defeat before being able to progress. Okay. 4 more encounters, then come back here. You got it. This is fun. Are we having fun yet?
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
It's so nice and chilly.
I'm wearing a puffy jacket hoodie.
I have thigh highs on.
Oh, you love your thigh highs. Let me just like pull it back and then snap them. Watch them wobble.
I have,
That thigh squinch.
Look, Chris, another puzzle. How should we solve it this time? Proceed. How? There's nowhere to go. Chris, the path is blocked, isn't it? Proceed. Chris, what are you doing? Chris, is everything okay? Proceed. Chris, there's lightning in the way. If we move any further, I'll be... Chris, you didn't really hear what I said earlier, did you? You wouldn't let me... Chris? There, looks like I did it? I just listened to Chris's command. And somehow, before I knew it, the puzzle was finished. What was I thinking? Chris wasn't trying to hurt me. They were just making me stronger. What was that about, Lancer?
Spooky.
Innocent boys are fast asleep.
Innocent boys are.
Aww.
I love that.
The sleeper.
Eeper.
Sleeper.
Sleepy boy.
Okay. Innocent boys see nothing. Aw, there's no cheese.
No!
Give me your cheese! I'm mugging you for your cheese. You better have some on you.
Got it. You got any cheese, man?
Yeah, I got.
I need it.
I need my fix.
I need my dairy.
Dairy Queen.
Give me some cheddar.
If feel like I'm going to get called the Dairy Queen at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
You wanna be?
Why don't we start?
You want?
Yeah, the funny thing is, the first thing I thought was, oh yeah, Sylvia.
Yeah, so many people also just think
Yeah.
I'm a cow dragon.
You better get your ref finished, or I'm just gonna keep drawing her.
I need a
Come on, you can
I just
do
get too
it.
many ideas.
Indigo has drawn Sylvia 3 times before I've even completed the fucking ref sheet.
I'm sorry.
With so much cheese.
I
What are you
got
doing
too
with all that
excited.
cheese?
I love you.
And you
I don't think I'd make a good cow. That's more of a Riley job.
What would they become instead? Deer cow?
I mean, I showed you Riley's. I got a cow
So cute.
transformation form of Riley before.
I don't. Wait. I don't know if I've seen that.
I drew Min as a cow too.
I'm a goat today.
Al,
Yeah.
go ahead and do the puzzle.
Go A.
Isn't
Oh my God.
isn't it a good thing? I'm solving things by myself, taking new things for myself, defeating enemies by myself. And every time I do it, I'm getting stronger. What did I do when we got that ring? When I solved that puzzle? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I can't remember. It doesn't matter if the battles are blurring together. If Chris tells me to do it, I can do things I could never do before. Isn't it a good thing? I'm getting stronger. As long as I just do what they say. As long as I'll finish, Chris. Did we find some more enemies? Brrr. Reading
God,
information.
this fucking game, like, ugh, it's so fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure we don't miss anything. I think we're good so far. I think we should be the last two. Do not go any further until you head back. Okay. Yep, okay. I got you. You can't hide. You'll.
I mean, they can't run if they're frozen.
Mm-hmm. I shouldn't piss off my girlfriend. She's a cryomancer, quite like this. I'll be in a lot of trouble.
Frozen moth.
I manifest crying.
The mothsicle.
I still want to get like drawn as like one of those like popsicles with gumball eyes.
Yay!
Oh God.
I have art of that.
I know there's a commissioner out there that does it.
I
Yeah,
actually have art of that,
I
Robin.
I gotta find one.
That would be a fun con badge to have.
That should be it, right?
I might try doing that.
The last two.
Heck yeah.
Alright, let's head back.
Oh wait, Riley, you haven't seen what my badge is gonna look like yet?
Yeah, you're going to MFF, yeah.
I don't know if I've showed it to you.
My fursuit currently doesn't have a face, but it will be okay. I will get it done.
Have
Spampton.
Are you looking for the Ring of Thorns?
Yes.
That'll be not 1997 Cromer.
Uh,
Here's your ring. Careful, it might sting.
and we're gonna equip it on Noel. That's me.
What is its description?
Whispers, royal pin. Oh, it's a weapon. Where it takes damage from pain, reduces the TP cost of ice spells.
Oh.
Able to progress after this part. Proceed forward. Alright, looks like we're almost there.
Yay!
Almost done.
We're gonna make it.
We got this. How could Robin do this to a poor little deer?
Just a little Bambi.
A little,
Little Bambino.
a little mental torture as a treat. Why not? 'Tis the season.
A little psychological breakdown.
Yeah, a
as a
little
treat.
psychological horror.
Psychic damage.
It doesn't have to be scary. It just has to be fucked up.
Damn.
Here we go. Oh, this is it. Burgley?
Hello, Noel. There you are. Just in time. We can both go back to the Queen and. Noel?
Chris, it looks like another enemy. Should I freeze them?
Noel? Noel, it's me. Don't you recognize me?
Oh. Ah, Birdley!
Noel, are you okay? What are you doing with Chris?
We're just getting stronger.
Getting stronger? How? Chris, what are you doing?
Proceed.
What? Proceed where? Noel, what are they talking about? That's it. Chris, I don't know what you're doing. But if you're hurting my friend Noel, then I have no choice but to stop you by force. Chris, ready yourself.
Wait, Birdley, stop! Run away!
Snowgrave. You'll want to defend. Get your TP up in Snowgrave. Also, you're slowly dying.
Oh shit.
Oh, jeez.
Snowgrave.
Snowgrave. It's fatal.
Fatal.
It's a Snowgrave. I don't know that spell. I'm telling you, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm telling you, stop. I don't know what you're talking about. Fine. You want to see what happened so bad? watch what happens when I cast a spell I don't know. Well, cast Snowgrave.
What?
He fucking killed him.
What? What happened? There was so much snow, I couldn't see anything. I don't feel so good. I think I'm going to go home.
Holy shit.
Fuck.
Fuck. Hard to see into the ice.
Well, there goes my one character.
Damn.
Min frozen in ice.
Hmm. Okay, well, from here,
Hop over.
now we just continue to the rest of the chapter from here.
Okay.
At this point, there's no
So-
accidentally aborting. We are locked in, kids.
Yay!
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 Let's see if we can get up here. Oh, manhole. Oh. Oh. Hello?
Looks like we finally found the fountain.
Pick up?
Yeah, but where the hell is Chris?
Hello.
Where the hell were you?
We were searching everywhere for you. Even Susie was worried.
Huh? No, I wasn't. Just, tell us if you're gonna. Hey, Chris. You, okay? You look kinda...
Chris, if you're hurt, Susie can heal you.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a healing master now, Chris. I'm even better than Ralsei. So, if, you hurt yourself or something, then...
You could try doing a hug like I did earlier.
Huggies.
Shut up and let's just go already.
Oh dear.
Huh? Isn't this... that guy from before? Why is there a statue of him?
It's not a statue, Susie. You see, each dark fountain creates a different world. A world whose darkeners reflect the will of its fountain. But those darkeners can exist in their own worlds. They might not belong if they go to another one.
So, if we just bring him back to Castletown... we, have to do that?
Yes.
Whatever.
It's a familiar looking statue. It's terrible. The butlers are all trapped in the cafe. And there's nowhere to be found, and with no one to defend it, a strange force has taken over the mansion. Huh? Shortcuts that open up later. A stone statue. Strangely, it looks like Lancer. Oh, it makes a snow noise now instead of a splurt. No more splurts for you, mister.
Interesting.
Oh. Spampton?
Whoa.
You saucy little sponge, you. Don't barge in when a man is changing forms. Wait, 1 second. Is that my esteemed customer? Thanks to you and that little hoochie mama, I'm a living big. Soon I'll have everyone in this city eating right out of my... I can't do a bleep noise. I sure hope no one seals the fountain around now. I sure hope. Kid, I'm busy becoming God. Do you, go play Minecraft or
Oh
something?
my god.
It's not my job to be some kid's extra boss.
Oh my god. Minecraft. Alright, well, I'll come back later then. Ooh. I love the second dialogue. Yeah, I don't know if I got that one. So many ads. Ah!
Oh, there are Spampton paintings everywhere.
Somebody has taken over the interface. Or the computer. Mouse. Mouse, 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 mouse.
Squeaker.
Squeaker.
Hi. Hello. What?
Squeaker.
Yes?
Squeak for
There's
us.
squeakers on the screen.
Ow. We're so grippable. Me too. My friends love gripping me. I'm so squishy.
That's what the love handles are for.
Yeah.
Squinch.
Gwimp.
Very squinchable.
These Mises are so powerful. All the paintings are Spampton now.
Such a funny dude.
Oh my god, Pippis! Oh my god.
There's so many Pippins.
Oh my god! It's all Pippis!
Some guy came to the castle and just started laying eggs everywhere.
Oh my god. It's just a Pippis maze. And then they explode. And then they blow up. It's like a 1 in 100 chance of one of them being... Is that M's? A Miss Pippis? What? Oh god!
Pippis.
Pippis! Pippis everywhere! Pew 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 pew! What even is a Pippis? What is Pluie? What are these words people come up with? Ow.
Spampton's eggs.
Spam eggs.
Definitely spam
Spamming
it.
eggs.
Oh, it has a bow? Oh, look at those
Yeah.
little Pippus on wheels. Yay!
Wee.
Whee! What? Pippus. Oh god, they just explode. So dangerous. What? What do you mean? They're all just gonna explode anyway. Ah!
Oof.
Oh, task manager.
Task Manager's great.
She's cute. I want to kiss her.
Very kissable.
He's so pretty.
She's so pretty.
Wow.
She looks great in that dress in the fourth chapter, whichever one.
What was that?
Meow. Boom. How dare you? Oh god. Nothing personnel, kid. You've been a bad dog. Oh my.
Ugh.
Meow. Man, Noelle's here not here to do all the work.
True.
God
Ow.
damn it, Noelle can't one-shot everything. What am I gonna do now?
What am I gonna do now?
Now this is gonna take forever.
Glow shard.
We need iced ear.
You've been a bad dog.
Nuh-uh.
Bad
I'll have
kitty.
you know I've been very
No,
good.
you.
What do you mean, nuh-uh?
Like I said, I'll have you know I've been very good.
Min just easily
Quite
admitting to being a
benevolent
puppy
indeed.
girl without being asked.
Mm-hmm.
What?
You just admitted you're a puppy girl.
Okay, and?
Puppy. I mean, I'm a puppy girl right now.
True.
Doggy. Well, you know what? That's true. I have been a bad girl in that case, since I'm the doggy here. I've been a little naughty today. Killing and freezing everybody. You know how it is.
I might have frozen an entire city.
Yeah, that's okay. Uh. Ito bleh. There's something nice about myself. But
Oh.
I'm really good at being mischievous and a bad girl. Does that count? I'm a bad dog.
Yes.
Where?
I'm good at knitting blankets.
Yay!
I've been very good today.
I'm sleepy.
Sleepy.
Yeah.
Eeper.
Sleeper.
My head hurts a little bit. I might take my dog outside. The dog needs to poop.
Okay.
Here.
Don't worry, I'm just committing various crimes.
Don't worry, Chris. I'll get them out of the way.
Hello? Acid River. You skip quite a lot of the game, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, this is supposed to be like a second playthrough.
Hey, it says this is Noelle's room. Chris, let's go in and save her. And, teach her not to get in our way. Chris? Fine, I'll do it myself.
Rouse? Oh, I think they just left, didn't they?
No, Indigo did. Oh, yeah, Indigo.
I could do Chris, or I could do Ross.
Yeah, I guess you do Rouse for now.
Chris, don't you wonder how they're doing in there? I said, don't you wonder how Noelle and Susie are doing?
I'm not playing your game this time.
You're right, Chris. It has only been 30 seconds. Oh, wait a minute first.
What do you think they're doing in there?
Making out.
Oh! Oh!
Alright, let's go.
Wow, you came fast. I mean, what? Wait.
Rouse fell asleep.
Wait, if we were supposed to...
Hey, let's go.
Wait, Susie. What happened in there?
What do you mean, what happened?
In there, with Noelle.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing? Nothing at all?
Just told her everything is a dream. Now she's feeling better.
Anything else?
Nope. Let's go. Psst, I'll tell you later, Chris.
Hey! Oh well, as long as Susie's happy, right?
Sure, absolutely. Ah. I think this is going pretty well. What do you guys think?
Yeah!
It's going very interesting.
We're almost done. Oops. Right. Meow. Right.
Meow,
Meow.
meow. Meow, meow.
Cirky. Here we are.
God, it really is so much quicker.
I think that's good.
No one's here.
Since this is supposed to be a second playthrough, like, if you had to go through all of that shit multiple times, it'd be
Yeah.
really annoying.
The night. The roaring night. Today, it deemed to create this world, reaching its long hand to the sky. It coursed its will into its blade, and made, thrusting the fountain from the earth. Unfortunately, the will they created is trapped within the confines of the library. If only we had a way to make more darkness, we might be able to cover the whole world. That is when I realized this power of will, this power of determination, is this not something that all lightness possess? If one was simply determined enough, could not anyone make a dark fountain? So then, if the night has taken its leave, then I will simply make a new one. But here I am, still empty-handed in my quest. Noelle is in no condition to assist me now. She must rest. And Bird Boy, I searched for him for ages, but my senses cannot detect him anywhere. How thoughtful of you two to have come help me. Chris, Susie, which one of you wants to be my new knight?
Get out of our way. Noelle needs to wake up.
Wake? Oh, she has already wakened too much. Let her close her eyes and sleep away into a darker, darker dream. Now, which one of you wants to help me to cover this world in darkness?
Is Indigo back?
I don't think now.
Okay. Queen, why? Why do you want to unleash the roaring so much?
What is that?
The roaring?
Yeah, that. What is that?
If too much darkness is released, Titans will emerge from the fountain and destroy everything. All darkness will turn into statues, and all lightners will be lost in eternal chaos.
Oh, holy circuits! Are you serious? I love how that's in the
You
original.
really didn't know that?
In the original route, we have to like fight her, and then that's like the end
Yeah.
of it. This time we're just
Yeah.
like, oh what? Oh,
Wait, shit!
oh
Back.
no. Oh, she just kind of stops. Oh. Well, my plans are shot. My one idea to help Noelle failed. Go ahead, Chris. Seal the fountain. I will not stay in your way any longer. Wow.
Well, that was easy.
Fuck.
Anticlimactic,
Yeah.
huh? Huh.
Hey. Hey, wait. You don't have to. I mean. It doesn't have to be goodbye, you know.
Era, I have no idea what you're talking about. Bro?
We have our own dark world. You can stay there, you know. Who knows? Maybe someday you'll even get to meet Noelle again.
Really?
Maybe.
It's an exception sweet. And oh hell yeah, Dr. Xie. Oh, Susie, I knew you were a nice girl.
Hey, I'm just. Chris, go seal the fountain. I'm gonna go see Noelle before you do.
Chris, I'll tell Queen about our town.
Chris, I look forward to being your wacky roommate.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing roommate.
Oh, smiley face.
Everybody needs one.
Pretty fountain refreshments. One bagel.
Yeah, this right here is also different.
I wonder why. I'm gonna need these. Mm, 80. Mm. I'll take your entire stock. You'll see.
More bagels.
More bagels.
Bagel.
Alright, let's go.
Infinite big wolves.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I can't believe chapter 2 was so short, guys.
I know. It was as if your very soul was glowing. Ha! Spampton, all you.
Not. Let me say thanks. Thanks to your total jackass stunts, I have become Neo. And now it's my mansion, my city, my world. So why are you stealing the fountain? To fuck me over right at the good part. What are you, a game show host?
Damn.
Oh damn.
Ah, kid, forget it. I'm an honest man. I'll let you pay for your way out of this one. Pay. With your rapidly shrinking life.
Here we go. And I'm all by myself this time.
Time to be a big
And
shot.
a big shot.
I remember when you were just a lost little sponge. Sleeping at the bottom of a dumpster.
I still think this is my favorite, like, special boss theme. It's so good.
I gave you everything. I had my life advice. I told you 4 left and asked you buy or don't buy. I gave you my commemorative ring for the price of my favorite year.
1997.
And this is how you repay me? Treating me like DLC?
Okay.
What? What? Are you serious? It's for you.
Pippis! Ah! Oh my god. Pippis is so dangerous. Oh. Delicious Pippis. 698, like this.
Delicious peppers. No, I get it. It's you and that Hochi Mama. You've been making, haven't you?
What does that mean? Ba, 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 ba. Physical damage. Ooh.
You've been making hyperlink blocked. And now that you have your own supply, you don't need me. I was too trusting. I was too honest. I've always been the man of Pippus, a real Pippus person.
What does that mean?
I should have known you would have used my ring for evil. Oh, right. That's why I sold it to you.
Oh, wow. Ouch. Damn. It does quite a bit of damage, doesn't it? I really don't have much defense. Oh well. This may be tricky. Ow. Yeah, I still think this is one of the best songs. Best battle songs.
It is really good.
So good. Bow, 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 bow. What? Are you serious? It's for you! It's for me! Don't underestimate Pippus. You'll regret it. Pew pew! Oh, che mama! Ah! I'm a man of the Pippus, Chris. Oh no. Or his buddy lost him in he lost him in the divorce. That's tough. Okay.
Does that game over screen look different than normal?
I think that's how it's always looked, right?
Okay.
That's normal. Yeah. I don't know if there's any better gear I could have had right now, huh? Doing this the old-fashioned way. Don't get hit, forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not much. This is like the gist of it. It's for you! Pippis! The Pippis is calling me.
Pippis.
Oh god. Ah!
I struggled with that one.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out where to go.
Yeah.
This one's a bit tough too. There's a lot of different stuff going on. Fried
Yeah.
Pippis. Yeah, the phone hand attack is the worst. This one's tough too. So many. Ah, that one's the one that's getting me. Oh boy, oh boy. We might be here for a minute. Gorp.
Gorp.
Gorp?
Gorp.
Hopefully I can do this. Whew. Do you guys
I
believe in me?
you.
Yay.
I believe in you.
At least this theme is a banger.
True.
It's
That's
usually,
one of the things about this game series is that you may get stuck in a boss fight,
but at least you're
but it is
vibing.
a baller boss fight.
It's all muscle memory. Yeah. Meow, 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 meow. It's for you. For me?
Do you like my voice first, Phantom?
Yeah, it's fine. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. Ah!
I have a very similar voice for Tenna.
Yeah.
I really liked playing Tenna.
I did the same thing with Femton and Tana too. It's like, you what? My favorite TV man. No, I get it. It's you and that Hochi Mama. You've been making, haven't you?
I like trying to like change up the voice whenever I like one of those things come, like one of the bracketed like
Yeah.
messages comes in.
Yeah. Now you don't need me anymore. Ah. Free bagel. Uh. Yeah. You think making frozen chicken with your side chick was gonna let you drink up that sweet, sweet freedom sauce?
Delicious freedom sauce for my nuggies.
Chicken nugget. Well, you're right, but don't blame me when you're crying in a broken home, wishing you let your old pal Spampton kill you. Oh god, no. Oh god, why?
Oh, what the fuck?
Hating you. 50, 80. Oh, I didn't get the good one. Oh, I do. Perfect. Can I, little sponge, do this? Go, Gaga, and die! I ain't feeling it.
Are you feeling it yet, Mr. Krabs?
No. Not quite, my friend. The smooth taste, Neo! Woo! Woo, 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 woo. Delicious Pippus. The taste of Spampton! That's him, officer.
Can I interest you in some canned Spampton?
Holy cow. Clown. No! I feel sick! Oh my god. Come on. Don't you want to be a big shot? What? It's for me! Blah! Yay! I love that one. Ow. Breaking and crackling. Oh, good heavens. Here we go. Ah! Slash slash. That's a wrap, kids. Woo! Back to you, Spampton.
My esteemed customer, I see you're attempting to deplete my HP. I'll admit, you've got some guts, kid. But in a one-for-one battle, Neo never loses. It's time for a little blue light special.
Special.
Specie.
Simpsons Neo attack dropped. Neo's defense rose.
Didn't you know Neo is famous for its high defense? Now, enjoy the fireworks, kid.
Oh? Just called for help, but nobody came.
What? You're calling friends? You think you can beat me with your friends' magic? Go ahead, kid. Call all you want. No one will ever pick up. Go ahead and scream into the receiver. The voice runs out eventually. Your voice, their voice. Until you realize you are all alone.
We have to say something nice.
Do something nice about yourself. I think I'm determined. I'm pretty good at video games.
I am Mouse.
You are Mouse. Sweet and fluffy.
Yeah.
I like my hair. It's
like your
curly
hair.
and
You
thick.
do have nice hair.
Ah,
I need to get it cut soon though. It's been like a decade.
God, me too.
There will be no more miracles,
I
no
just
more
finished the
magic.
GIF.
You lost it when you tried to see too far. You lost it. You make me sick. Muttering your lost friends' names at the bottom of a dumpster. No one's gonna help you. Get that through your beautiful head, you little worm.
That's not your word. You whispered Noelle's name.
Her. You're still trying to use her? You think she can hear you muttering her name? She's gonna make... What's she gonna do? Make me an ice cream? Hey, is it cold in here or is it just me?
Oh shit.
Ah! That's not cool.
Perfect timing.
What did I do?
Frozen.
We did it. Huh? Birdley's alarm? A dream. It was really just Susie! Susie, what are you doing here?
You invited us to study, remember?
Oh, right. I did, didn't I?
You're in a good mood. Did you, have a good dream?
It was a nightmare.
Oh.
I'm just happy I woke up. The end was nice, though.
What happened?
Well, hey, Birdley, time to go and get up and go. Birdley?
You fucking dead.
Gosh, you've been studying too much, Birdley. Honestly, you deserve a little rest, you know? Sweet dreams.
What are you doing?
You don't have a tail, do you, Susie?
No way, of course not.
Really? That's great. Huh.
That was weird, Chris. Somehow it doesn't feel like we just saved the world. Chris! Hey, wait a sec, Chris! We just actually saved the world, didn't we? Damn, we really are heroes. And no one even knows. Guess it's better that way, though, right? People freak out if they knew the world's in danger. Oh, kinda sucks Noelle has to forget too. Whatever, let's get out of here.
Computer crashed. A burst state-of-the-art public laptop. Someone left it on. Someone accidentally printed off a lot of useless emails.
Banned it.
Trash can doesn't have friends. Hard to explain why you feel this way about a trash can. It doesn't seem to be awake. Doesn't say he's sleeping either. Any backup devices? Where you left, you gathered up everything in the room. Glass.
Glass.
Accumulated things in your pocket. I have such a big pocket.
It really is a big pocket. Man, it got late, didn't it? Guess you should go home, huh? All right, you don't have to say it. Don't want to walk home by yourself, huh? Well, if you're gonna make me, I guess.
I
Let's
guess.
go.
Huh. I feel like not much is different here.
I heard there's one missable change in the hospital.
I think,
Someone
yeah.
said.
There was a police officer and she was so hot. Eye candy. Funk of despair. Get out of the road! Oh, bad habit.
I'm still like so curious if Undyne is going to like lose an eye at some point.
I don't know. One of the blue beads is broken and torn off. Wants to be this guy.
Oh wait, she actually
Silver
has the
Drake, huh?
game.
That's a new one. Alright, what's the plan, honey?
Maybe we could try Ice Shock.
Ice on the Ice Palace, boss? Don't you want to try Fire Shock or something?
Huh? Oh, yeah, you're right.
Here, how about letting me control for a bit?
No, I'll control it myself.
Not like you need to be a controller hog, honey. You feeling alright?
Huh? Me? Of course! I'm fine, Dad. I fell asleep in the library and... You know, just had a weird dream.
Noelle. I knew that bird-brained put you to sleep. Haha. What did he do? Start lecturing you on his theorem? Of the inequality in children's fighter games.
No, he fell asleep too.
Wow, he even put himself to sleep. Ha!
Yeah, I guess so.
Wow, sounds like you two have been hitting the books too hard. Why don't you go home and hibernate? I'll see you tomorrow at church.
Dad, are you gonna be okay to go?
Of course. You take it easy, honey.
Okay then. Yeah, I'll go home and rest.
See you tomorrow, honey.
Bye, Dad. Love you. Grace! Chris, what are you doing here?
Well, if I know.
Susie!
Oh, this is Susie. Susie, nice. Heard a lot about you.
Yeah, she noticed Chris first and not Susie.
You, have?
Cool, think I have to go now.
Susie, huh?
Yeah.
Lay a finger on her and I'll kick your ass.
Huh?
Haha.
Just kidding. Well, kinda kidding. Dead. Sorry, I used up a lot of my energy just now. Probably not gonna be very fun to talk to. Thanks for visiting though, Chris. And you too, Susie.
Much better. Seems like the same thing. Man. Is that all, Evelyn?
Hey,
Wait.
Susie, mind if I have a word with you?
Guess I'll be a sec, Chris.
Come on, it was just a bad dream. Even so, it was so real. I can't get it out of my mind. That voice telling me what to do. A voice unlike Chris's. A terrifying voice. Chris, recently, there's been something different about them. Why hasn't anyone else noticed it? I have to figure it out. Why Chris is acting so strange. Why they keep coming to the hospital. See you. Huh? Chris, how long have you been standing there? Oh, you really scared me, you know? Keep it together, Noelle. There's nothing to be afraid of. After all, a dream is just a dream, right? Chris? Are you wearing my watch? When did you...
Hey, Chris. Let's beat it already. Man, he kept telling me about Noelle, like her favorite things, places she'd like to go. No idea what the hell that was about. So, how were you two doing?
Nothing, Susie. I was just about to go home. See you.
Guess she's afraid of me again, huh? Man, would be nice if she knew everything that happened was real, huh, Chris? Come on, try to be a little more enthusiastic.
Fun fact of that scene. Movement isn't locked. If you move before she notices you, she hears you moving and addresses it. If you move after that, she freaks out and yells for you to back away. Man.
Oh.
Fucked up. It's crazy how much impact this has. It's still so weird. This has no impact for the third chapter either.
Hey, Chris, shouldn't we go check on Lancer? He should be back in the closet, right?
The last change of chapter 2? Yeah. Go!
I guess this wouldn't affect chapter 3 much since Noelle's not on the game show.
I guess Noah's really that important, huh? So this is your castle town. It's magnificent. Population density is so wonderfully low. I bet the Swatchlings will love this. Where are the Swatchlings anyhow? Or task manager? Or even vaguely a task? Hey Chris, where is everyone else? Don't worry, Queen, I'm here. Me and only me.
Don't.
Well, I guess I'll go to my room. Haha.
Sashay away.
Hmm.
Chris, I bet you have a lot of people to talk to. But you don't have to do everything at once. Save and take a break anytime you want, okay?
Yeah. I'm not.
You're gonna need a minute.
So are we gonna end it after chapter 3 ends? Or
After this chapter ends?
yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up here soon.
yeah, okay, I figured. It is honestly crazy how much like you skip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man. That was crazy. That's a new fan. Hmm. What about him and King and Queen? Did you want to be king? Rico?
I'll pass on it.
We're good? Left him behind, didn't you? Oh, who wants to be king?
I mean, I could.
Yeah, go for it.
You left them behind, didn't you? Just as you left us. Be gone.
Oh, that was it.
I love this giant hamster cage.
Me too. Strawberry cake as a room warming gift. But it's not
It's
called.
just
It's not cauldron fresh. God. All right.
Cauldron fresh cake, Rousey.
It's so yummy. Huh. Oh, my lord, 'tis I, your humble servant here, right here where I never left it. Oh, what a terrifying boy's adventure. Time to kick off my feet and relax. That's him, officer. That's the good boy.
That's the
Bye.
good boy who deserves head pats.
Yes. Head pets
What if-
and belly rubs all around.
What if I hypothetically was a good girl who deserved those?
Pets are free.
Yes.
You can just take them. Back, but with pizza. Yeah, time to go home.
Alright. See you tomorrow, Chris. Chris, how was studying with your... Why, Chris, is that your friend? why don't you invite her inside? I mean, Chris, I should probably get going, and I was going to bake a pie. Did you want any?
Do I?
Guess I can come over for a bit.
Would you? Would I? Would you? Would I?
Feel free to come in. Oh, excuse me. I am Chris's mother, Toriel. Yes, ma'am. I remember.
Yes, mommy. I mean, ma'am.
Mommy, I mean,
Oh, you do. You are Susie. Wait, fuck.
Yeah, you combine them.
Yo, older Susie.
Motherly
You are
Susie.
Susie.
Turned into Susie. You, remember my name, too? Of course, Miss Alphys is a good friend of mine. She often talks about you. Glad to hear it. Chris, the hell is Alphys saying about me? Susie, why don't you wash your hands over there? Then we can make the pie together. Make it together? But I don't know how to. Do not worry, I can teach you. Okay. Chris, Susie seems like a nice girl. I am very happy you are friends with her, but... Chris, I heard from Alphys about her behavior. If by any chance she, influences you, leave the chalk alone, alright?
Ah, but Mom.
Hands, washed.
You kids aren't doing chalk in here, are you?
Was that chalk line different?
Wonderful. Now we can. Oh, Chris! How about you show Susie how to bake it?
Me?
Chris, you know how to make pie? The hell haven't you made me anything, dumbass?
Ow. 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 Ow.
Pie hoarding pieces.
Pie hoarding pieces.
I mean, excuse me, ma'am.
She's trying to be so prim and proper and not tomboyish to impress the mom, but or to maybe not make a bad impression in front of both the teacher and her friend's mom. Like, please don't get me in trouble.
Susie, you can just call me Toriel outside of school. Oh, okay, sweet. Huh? Chris? Oh, you need to wash your hands too? Then I suppose I shall teach Susie for now. Susie and I will start getting ready to make the pie. We will? Wait.
Pie time! Pie time! Yay!
Bye.
Pie time for pie time.
Chris, the phone is going. Would you mind getting it for me while I... Chris, why are you calling our house?
I'm right behind you. Ah. Isn't the sink in the bathroom better? Why? Ah.
Chris, this is not the time to sneak some chocolates.
Yes, it is.
Chris, put me some at least.
I'm sneak it out of here. Aw.
Can't flush the
Don't need
toilet
it.
multiple times.
I'm a very gentle creature. I don't have usually have the sink on super loudly. What?
Okay, keep that in there right now.
We'll just put that there.
You stay.
Man, every time this stuff happens, you're just like, what the fuck is happening? What's going on? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the second time it happens, you're like, oh, okay. I guess this is my life now.
Yeah.
Well, let us get the flour. So that's this bag, and you just. Oops. Susie, you have flour on your nose. I meant to do that. Thought you would stop to smell the flour, eh? Ha ha ha! Shoot! Come on! Now, on to the next part. So, where the heck is Chris? Oh, Chris, does this sometimes. Well, they should hurry. I'm getting sleepy.
Arr.
Do you know what they call a sleeping Susie? What? They would call her a snoozy.
Snoozy.
Then I guess you'd be, Snoriel. Snoriel.
She is absolutely like a Facebook mom, isn't she?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Snoozy and Snoriel.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure she would have live, laugh, love on her, like,
Oh
on a
man.
wall somewhere.
Yeah.
100%.
It says live, laugh, laundry above her washing
Alright.
machine.
Where the hell is Chris?
Where the hell is Chris?
The pie is nearly done. Oh, the sugar. Wait here a moment. I left it in the car.
Oh, I'm big.
Where the fuck are they going?
Returning from beyond the grave. Oh. Give me that. Here.
Get back in there.
Pens are clean. Are you sure?
Still don't need the bathroom.
Apple scented shampoo feels lighter than usual.
Still can't flush the toilet. Sad.
Hey, Chris, hurry up next time. We're already almost done. So, what's next? Oh, the pie. We already worked quite hard, have we not? How about we finish it later? Okay. Then, guess I'll walk home. Oh, no. There's no need to do that. Oh, actually, Susie, would you like to stay over? Huh? I mean, if it's okay then. Here, look at this. Our couch is used to being used as a bed. It's not perfect, but we could all sleep out here. That
Asgore broke it in.
sounds good to me. Yeah.
Yeah, Asgore broke it in.
Splendid. I will make sure everything is in order.
Thank you.
Keepers. Just call your parents, will you not? Yeah, of course. Fuck that. So what the hell, a sleepover? Damn, I haven't had one of those in forever.
Ugh.
Hey, Chris, it's not like someone has to tell you to sit, right? There, chill out for a sec. So now what? I got it. Maybe between the pillows here? There. Knew I'd find the remote in there.
Secret stash.
And your mom's weed, Chris.
Whoa, what's that doing in there?
You can always find good stuff wedged in the couch.
A bunch of condoms.
Jeez, it's dusty. When you use this thing last? Well, who cares? Let's just watch TV. So, what are we gonna marathon tonight? Blood Crushers 3? Hellbusters? Invasion of the Cat Petters?
Cat petters.
Maybe Ice-E the movie is more your speed, huh, Chris?
No.
It's been a good day, huh, Chris? You, Valsay, Lancer, everyone.
Lancer wasn't really there.
Oh shit, are you still holding
It's
Lancer?
Just cool hanging out together, right?
In your
Probably.
pocket.
It was in my pocket.
That's why, you know, don't you think we should try to have them come to our world? Come on, think about how much better it would be. Rousey could do our homework. Lancer could live under her bed.
He'd be so happy with that. I wonder if he'd fit.
We could all walk to school together.
He'd make himself fit.
It'd be perfect, you know? I mean, we'd be unstoppable, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the attitude. Look, what if Rousey becomes a teacher's pet, though?
Oh yeah, Lancer would just make a hole under my bed.
Or
A little pit
not
gremlin.
if. Just feels like a matter of time, honestly. Well, whatever, as long as he brings me an apple, too. What? Apple shampoo? No, I didn't drink any of that.
But
Yummy.
the apple shampoo was a little later when we came back in, but we never saw Susie come in, so how did she sneak some?
Well, whatever.
How'd you do that?
Let's just get back to watching.
Cooking show.
So, the festival is coming up, right? That thing where the town becomes a carnival.
Oh, right.
Stupid, right?
Yeah, really silly.
But say you had to, take someone. Noel or Rouse?
Noel.
Earthly.
What? Why are you saying it so confused? It's not like I meant anything weird. You know what? Forget it. Look, let's just go back to watching TV.
Yay!
Now this is what I'm talking about.
I never actually found the dinosaur minigame in Chapter 3. I think it was like a secret side thing you had to do.
Yeah, it's fun though.
Yeah, I never did that. I missed it.
A giant monster movie special. Always liked them better than the giant human movies. Now this is something we could marathon.
What? You mean like Attack on Titan?
Yeah. That's way more depressing than what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
12 hours of building bashing, car crushing action.
Yeah. We're fucking
'Cause we
locked
are
in.
locked in.
We're locked
Got
in,
it?
Chris.
I better not see you move until your eyes are bloodshot. Now, let me just get comfortable here and...
Night night. Uzi falls asleep. Night night. He crashed out. Meow.
Sweet dreams, dinosaur.
Good night. I'm a little EP too.
Eperton.
Officer? Officer? Thank goodness, I finally got through. I thought I saw someone prowling around outside. And when I checked our car, the tires looked like they'd been slashed. Officer, if you could please come over. You will soon? Thank you. They're, look, they're already asleep.
Sleepy. And keep an eye on him. Average police response time. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Everyone's sleeping in the living room.
Ow. Just shove me between the cushions. Wonder why they leave the front door cracked open.
Oh fuck.
I will say, I think it would be interesting if the weird route had, like, Toriel be a more active part for Chapter 3.
I wish. I don't know why they're doing it with just Noelle. Like, maybe it's more of an Undertale thing to spare or like genocide. I don't think there's as much of that in this as there is in that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. As well, you can do a bunch of killing. Some of them you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
This guy.
Ah, this guy. I'm unsure. Like, do we still want to stream Chapter 3 and go through it like that, or? I mean, I do like Chapter 3.
Not tonight.
Not
Yeah,
well.
definitely
I
not
know,
tonight.
not tonight. I'm just saying, like next Friday.
Would we just want to speed through chapter 3 then and just do what you need to do?
That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm not sure how I'd be able to speed through it, but it still would probably
we
take
could just-
quite a bit.
Yeah, but we could at least just not be voicing and just like yapping.
But
or
yeah,
something.
yeah, I'd be down for that. We just hang out. Yeah, yeah, I do like chapter 3. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed the Snowgrave route.
It's
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah, I think Draco had a
That
good
was
time.
wild.
Bit spoopy.
I don't know about not spooky, more like unsettling, like more like what the fuck? What the fuck? I was kind of hoping, for some reason I thought it's like once you finish chapter 4, do the new intro all the time. I'm just thinking. Cool, alright. Well, thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I had a good time. Ugh. Yeah,
That was really cool.
yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. I just like playing Deltarune quite a lot. His characters in the story. I know the fandom's like everywhere and it can be a little cringe, but I don't care. Heck you. This game's great. This series is really great.
That's like
It
everything.
is.
It's so good. It really makes you think. Rico, Shrew. Let's get another round of shout outs for the cutie pies here.
Yay!
Yeah.
All
Yay.
my funny collab partners. With them.
Should be playing balls.
What?
I was playing Ball X Pit last.
The only difference in chapter 3, the Shadow Mantle is slightly different dialogue. Middle part where Rousey asks you to talk to Susie, you talk to Rousey instead. Ask where you want to bring to the festival. If you say no, it has unique dialogue. Yeah, it's not a whole lot. I thought there was a unique thing with, like, after getting the mantle. Unless that's what you're talking about. Different dialogue.
You can do that in any route. You don't have to do that just in the yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't do that second stabby part. But I've seen it. Well, maybe I could try doing that. Unless we just want to... I don't know, I might need it. It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I'm sure I'll be able to speed through it. We'll do... Like, we'll skip any of the, like, side dialogue, kind of like we did do. And kind of just go through it. We'll voice the funny bits. I like the funny bits. Alright, well, I'm going to... What? Anything you guys want to say before I write out?
This might be more of like a thing for like next time, but who's gonna voice Tenna?
I don't know. You guys have to fight for it.
Sure.
I could. I mean, I like voicing Tenna.
I mean, there's a lot of Tenna. I like voicing Tenna too. But I also did kind of give him the same voice like as Tenna. Like the TV show host man! Or whatever.
Yeah.
I make him more of like an announcer voice.
Yeah, I mean, like that. It's kind of the same thing. But yeah, we can definitely figure out something there. What do I want to raid? Fluorides?
Stream died.
Yeah, it's been doing that recently. You guys remember last time I streamed, right? Well, I don't know if anyone was here,
I
but
think.
I wasn't here. Sorry.
yeah. It's so weird. Like around the time I'm about to like end stream, it fucking dies for like a few seconds. Like my internet completely like cuts.
It's weird.
It's like specifically at the end of stream too. Like when I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go find someone to
Yeah.
raid. What the fuck?
Odd.
But I finished playing Outer Wilds yesterday. I did like a
Nice.
nearly 7-hour long playthrough off stream of and recorded it.
Nice.
Wow.
I'll be posting the video in time soon. I could rate Fluoride, but if you guys don't want any spoilers, might be best to rate somebody
One
else.
of my friends is currently streaming.
Whomst is your target?
Let's see, what's she doing? It says special events, but I'm not sure exactly what's happening. A wedding-a-thon day. All right.
Eh?
Hold on. Gonna send it in the chat. Wow. My friend Star.
That's fun. Yeah, thank you for hanging out, Evelyn. I appreciated your help and your input with the genocide route. Or the Snowgrave route. I would appreciate seeing you again soon. Did you guys want to do this same time next Friday as well?
I could.
Sure.
Yay!
I'm not sure if I can. I might have work.
That's okay. If you have the other stuff to do, that's no problem at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be home till like 8 something.
Okay. And Shadow Government? There they are.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I am excited for how that badge is gonna look.
Oh, you're bad.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
Also,
no,
I'll
yes.
send you
Shadow
Cow Riley
Government.
too.
It's in Shadow Government. The swimsuit does need to be a different style though, from what I wanted.
The whimsy.
Because the theme is basically supposed to be villains on vacation.
Oh yeah.
I just need to get the fursuit heads done.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
in
and
my
my
hands.
tail.
I.
And my feet. Everything else. Mine's
Uh.
missing the face.
Just creative. Cryptid fawn. Yet. So it's also between her. My friend Veerdict is also doing a subathon. Dinosaurs. I mean, he just started stream maybe like 5 minutes. He's been going for an hour.
I'm always for going with the person with the least number of viewers.
Yeah, I usually think
That's nice.
Veery needs a bit of help, so I'll send you guys over to Veerdict. He's my bull buddy boy. He's been into this new dinosaur game that came out recently. He's a big dinosaur cretin. But yeah.
Which one? Because I know 2 have come out.
Like, I forget.
There's one that's like Alien Isolation, but Jurassic Park, and then there's another one that's kind of like more mission based or something. Like 2 different dinosaur games just came out.
Let me see. Not that one. Death Ground.
Ooh.
I think he's been wanting to get me to try and play it with him at some point, but I don't have the money for it. But yeah, I'll send you guys over to Veery.
Okay, wait, yeah, I think this is the Alien Isolation one.
Yeah. I'd be
A 1 to 4 player co-op horror game that throws you into a desperate fight for survival against deadly dinosaurs.
Yeah, he loves the dinosaurs. He had me play, what was it called? Exoprimal. That was a fun game.
Ooh. Dinosaurs are great.
Dinosaurs are funny. I'm not like a crazy dinosaur creature, but I like to see what people can do with them. Alright, the raid will be out here shortly. Thank you all so much again. If you haven't already, feel free to join my Discord, my socials, and check out my merch page. And I will see you all probably sometime this weekend. I don't know about Sunday with Nuclear Nightmare yet, but we'll see. Good night, everybody. Stay bright, night
Good
lights.
night.
Good night.